Hey everyone, your host Nick here, and you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. First, I want to remind you that we are a fully independent podcast, quite literally just a group of friends who have met once a week since 2008 to talk about video games. If you like our show, the best thing you can do for us is be active in our community. I recommend Discord. You can subscribe to our show, leave us a review on your preferred podcast service, or, if you're so inclined, bless us with your patronage on Patreon or Twitch. If you're new, all you need to know is this. We record these shows live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central on Twitch, and the audio version launches on all podcast services on Friday morning. Patreon and Twitch supporters will even get the show a day early on Thursdays. But if you want to know more about any of this, about what we do, or find all the important links you need, simply visit us at 4playernetwork.com. And that's it. This is the only ad you'll ever hear on this show. So, with that said, thank you for listening. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 797, right? Did I get that right? I'm kind of guessing here.
798.
798. Shit.
You already fucked
798. It is June 11th. Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. I know what I'm doing. And we are here to talk about video games. Welcome. My name is Nick Henderson. I'm joined by Brad Simons.
Did y'all hear Dragon Age is coming to Fortnite? Huh? The new characters? They're coming to Fortnite?
Wait, is that a true story?
So surprising.
Oh, you're just making a fucking joke, you asshole. Okay.
I made the character
And
models for them.
also joined by Krispy. How you doing, Krispy?
Hello.
Who has brought us Destiny 2 footage tonight.
I did it.
I will finally know what this game looks like
I did it.
in action.
You
Looking
know what
forward
it
to
looks
it.
like. You know
This
what-
motherfucker hasn't seen a screenshot of Destiny 2. Crispy, do not let him fool you.
And I'm also, of course, joined by Christopher Davis. Hello, Chris Davis.
Maybe
I don't know why.
a mistake.
Did y'all hear me? I just called
This
Chris
dude's
Davis
drinking,
Chris.
What was that? Was that vodka? You drinking vodka over there?
He always drinks vodka. That's like his drink of choice, but
That is my
his
drink of
face
Come
never
on, man.
looks
Xbox
like it's his
stole
drink
the
of choice.
show. What are you sad about?
He's sad about Splinter Cell.
Yes.
Chris
Ubisoft
Davis.
fucked
We
me.
voted no on that. We all voted no on
Yeah,
that.
real quick,
I voted
real quick.
yes.
Chris Davis, did I not tell you last week that you were setting yourself up for immense
Yeah.
disappointment? And I didn't specifically call out Splinter Cell, but I think that is one of the ones that you had on the list of predictions that I thought sounded the most crazy. Like if
Yeah,
you are
it was
if you're
crazy.
putting all of your cards on in the Splinter Cell hat, you're going to be incredibly disappointed.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's come
Chris,
to pass.
Chris Davis, here, we broke it down for you before. I'll do it again in a couple seconds. Next year, they're not going to have Assassin's Creed and they're not going to have Star Wars Outlaws. They're going to need
Actually,
a video game. So
they will
it'll
have
probably
Assassin's
be
Creed
this
probably next year.
Oh, gross. Okay, well, next year's
don't
they
forget
had
about
big
Hex.
games this year. They had big games this year that they didn't need another distraction, another big project to get people talking. They had
Hang
two
on.
major games.
No, you're wrong about this in two ways. Number one, 3/4 of their presentation this year was nothing but fucking updates about existing projects we already know about, including
Which we knew
content
was
that
gonna
has been
happen.
out for months,
Yeah,
if
because
not
they're trying
fucking
to sell
years.
those fucking games. They're
Second,
trying to sell those games.
they announced one new project. One fucking new project. That's it. For an hour-long
What was it?
presentation, they only announced one fucking game.
Is it coming out soon?
No.
What is it?
Yeah, what
I
could
don't
you
even
talk
fucking
about?
remember. It just made me so angry. I am so...
You're not talking about the... Okay. Chris Davis, first of all, I just want you to know...
game?
Yeah, it was the Anno game. That's right.
Oh, well, that's just a
another
completely
fucking
different
Anno.
demographic. That's
Look,
a
look, look.
completely different demographic.
Look, Chris Davis.
Get mad at
The
Anno.
Ubisoft thing, I didn't like. Even I went into the Ubisoft thing expecting it to be like 50% Outlaws and 50% Assassin's Creed Shadows, which turns out I'm super hyped for both of those games. So I'm
You
I'm
know what
fine.
was cool
I'm fine.
about Outlaws?
Are we doing this?
Oh,
We're gonna eventually talk. Well, I mean, we're gonna talk about this stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're
we're
going to
gonna
talk
talk
about
about
them? Okay.
Yeah. So real quick. I never got an answer to this.
I already know
before
what
we started-
Crispy's going to say.
Before we hit record,
The lack
I
of a
asked you
loading
guys.
screen.
I asked you guys if y'all wanted to talk Destiny 2 first and then do Summer Game Fest, or if you wanted to
Yeah,
do it the other
let's
way
do it.
around.
You mean the altars first and then the rest of the stuff after?
Oh yeah.
The altars.
They see
No,
this
we're-
motherfucker every week. every week.
I know what the altars is. Did you play?
No, I played. Yeah, the demos. I played the demo. I got footage.
Oh, that's cool. Is it cool?
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it. Maybe.
You say
we will
no?
talk about it, but
I might get bumped.
I am making the
I feel
executive
like
decision that we
Harlan
talk
Williams
about
over here.
Destiny 2 first, because we've been waiting 85 years for footage
We have
of this.
We have been waiting 85
it's
years.
time.
No, I'm
we're
not gonna
do
bump
this.
Crispy.
Okay,
I'm not gonna bump
okay,
Crispy.
listen. Everybody listen. Just give me a second because we haven't really even gotten through the quote-unquote intro of this podcast yet. I just want to say
Oh, this is
It's
the
been-
podcast?
this is the podcast. It's been a big week. It's been a big week. Not only are we going to talk about all the Summer Game Fest stuff, it's a lot of some pretty exciting stuff there. But like I said, Crispy brought Destiny 2 footage. He's been playing the final shape, and apparently that game is the game is pretty good. So we're gonna finally talk about that.
Shape it up. Just say it. You said it already.
I know.
Just
I know.
Shaping up
man.
and shipping up.
Yep. It's just habit, man. And then of course, and then Brad, you did mention this. I don't know when this happened. Little, behind the scenes for you guys. We used to rely very heavily on a Google Doc for help for planning, like what we're going to talk about. And somewhere along the line, everybody just stopped using it. So I'm
Not true.
I'm shooting
Do
from the
you
hip.
clear it out every week?
Yes.
Sometimes I go in there and I'm like, this still has last week's shit on there. I
Okay,
guess
first of
I'm
all, it is a Google Doc that you have full range of control over.
Yeah, but see,
you
I
can
don't know your
literally
whole
just delete
system
that stuff.
You every time you just go in there and delete everything one by one.
Yeah.
I don't want to fuck up your process. I feel like if I'm gonna throw something on there, you're gonna end up deleting it, man.
So
Whatever. You do put out the call, and when I say this, I'm gonna be there, and this is my game. Yeah, that means it's.
But
my game.
but you know what? If I like today, I sent that message out, right? I'm sorry, everybody. I sent that message out in Discord today, and I just stopped saying, "Hey, update the doc." I'm just asking people, "Hey, what are you talking about?" And when I do that, I'm like literally working on overlays and shit for the show in that moment. So if you don't get back to me within like 30 seconds to like 2 minutes, you've missed the window, and I've moved on.
Okay.
Oh, well, I
That's
don't
never
care about
been
overlays.
explained to us, I don't think. So
Well,
I do feel
I
like
know.
that-
I certainly
I feel that.
explained my situation at work with my.
We're getting into the weeds. We're getting into the weeds.
We
and
love this behind the scenes look at
I'm
how
hard to
our,
reach during the day when
how
I'm.
our
People are-
professional operation works.
Yes, I mean, I want people to understand just how unprofessional of an operation this actually is. So, without further ado,
Patreon.com/4player. Yeah.
Patreon.com/4. You know what? More importantly than that, Discord.gg/4player. That's where we want y'all to come hang out. If you can't support us financially, which if you do, we really appreciate it. Obviously, it helps us host the show and keep the lights on and all that stuff. But we want you in the Discord to come hang out, talk about video games, talk about things. Right? We have a show us pictures of your pets, talk about the food you're eating, all that shit. But more importantly, we talk about video games all the fucking time, and we want you to be a part of it.
like
So
the pet
go to
pics are more
discord.gg/4player.
Oh hell, let's talk about density.
You are my density popped me to you.
All right. So let's do this. Crispy?
Let's fulfill the
How's-
prophecy.
So okay. I mean I'm
A Schluter. This is a Schluter.
a Schluter for sure. This is the Schluter. This is the one. Destiny 2, the final shape, the quote-unquote last of the yearly expansions that they're going to be doing. This was the ending of the 10-year Light and Dark saga, which is the saga that the story has been telling since the launch of the first Destiny in 2014.
Damn.
This is about the Traveler and the Light versus its immortal enemy, the Darkness, and its representative, which we found out a few years ago was an entity called Witness. And the Witness's nefarious plan is to calcify the entire universe into one final shape, what it calls a perfect form, in which everything will be still and silent forever.
That sounds
No
bad.
more life, no more death. Exactly.
So it's like the shape is shapelessness.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see too. Well, maybe not. I don't know if you will see in this, but
Is this the calcification we're seeing here?
well, this is a vision. So this is when you. So in the beginning of the campaign, when you first enter the Traveler, basically where we have been at so far is last expansion, Lightfall. The Witness arrived in the solar system. It brought its pyramid fleet, the Black Fleet of pyramid ships, and it did something to the Traveler, and it opened a giant portal on the face of it. And for a year, we've been looking at this portal, unable to enter it, wondering what the hell the Witness is up to inside the Traveler. And at the end of Season of the Wish, which is the season that just concluded right before this came out, we finally finished the quest to send somebody through the portal to open the way for the rest of us, and now the final shape is about us entering the Traveler, confronting the Witness, and
Saving the universe.
Yes, saving the universe, destroying it.
Fuck yeah.
So the beginning of the expansion is literally you going through the portal into the Traveler. This vision, the cutscene that you're looking at right now, is a vision you have as you're like going into the Traveler. It kind of foreshadows a lot of stuff that ends up happening through the campaign. I don't think it's any secret that Destiny's kind of been waning. It's been having some trouble for a while. The last expansion,
roller coaster.
Yeah, Destiny tends to do that. It tends to have like one or two really mid, is this the end of Destiny kind of catastrophic expansion launches, and then they'll come out with something really good, right?
How many expansions so I guess general question, are expansions and seasons the same thing, or
they're not?
Like, okay.
Expansions are like the actual full like expansions to the game. They add new locations, new mechanics. They advance the meta plot. You spend
money on them.
You spend money on all of it. You spend money on seasons too. But
wait, what?
Yeah,
but games as a service spending.
Well, you can't pay for a season and get all the expansions that come as part of that season.
You can do stuff in the season.
Okay.
But like the seasonal activity and like the main seasonal gameplay loop, you don't have access to if you don't pay for it.
Wing It in chat says seasons are like a third of an expansion.
Yeah, because there's 3 of them usually between expansions.
I feel like we're getting into the nitty-gritty.
We're getting into the nitty-gritty, but this is
trying to learn.
But this is kind of part of why Destiny has had trouble over the years, is because it's like, if you're gonna have this really convoluted and frankly expensive monetization model, the stuff you're putting out has to be good, you know? And when it's not, people really feel it.
And it's been inconsistent at best.
And it has been inconsistent at
best. It's World of Warcraft.
It is very World of Warcrafty, especially in that this game was closely tied with Activision for a while. It was like Bungie was owned by Activision. And when Bungie was under Activision, we got Forsaken, which was one of the best expansions. And that expansion actually kind of begins a lot of the story threads that get wrapped up in this expansion. That's the expansion in which Nathan Fillion's character, Cade 6, is killed. And in this expansion, I mean, we're about to meet him. He's back.
Oh, shit, he's Jesus.
Cade 7.
He literally is.
Wait, he's Jesus?
No, not Cade 7. He's still Cade 6. He said he doesn't like any numbers higher than 6.
Interesting.
Okay.
Real quick, so I'm only trying to get into the weeds here, and I'm asking these questions because like this is one of those things we had this conversation before, where it's like I've been kind of like curious about Destiny, but like it was almost implied that like maybe just you'd be better waiting for Destiny 3. So these are things I feel like I should maybe understand, because this is going to be probably reminiscent of what to expect from Destiny 3 when we.
I mean, if you really want to get into Destiny, Final Shape is fucking great. like I don't want to bury the lead here. The Final Shape is great.
This looks cool.
It's like very cool. This is
it's
new,
like started with Yakuza 6.
This is the new location. It's true, but I feel like the onboarding has been pretty good. And in fact, it kind of gets away from some of the problem, is that like as things have gone on, like the story has kind of gone in different directions, or they've opened different threads that maybe like are a little more confusing for newer people. I feel like this game did a really good job of like wrapping everything up and being like, this is our like this is the Return of the Jedi, this is Avengers Endgame, this is Return of the King. Like this is where everything is, and we're bringing all these threads together to complete a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Gotcha.
So I heard the builds are good.
the builds are fucking crazy now because one of the big surprises with the expansion is they added a new subclass that is unlike anything else that's in the game. So typically you've got your three main classes. You got warlocks, hunters, and titans. And each of those classes have access to 5 subclasses. And those 5 subclasses are all based around the different elements of damage. 3 light, 2 dark, you know?
Okay.
Traditionally, like since the very beginning, when you're a subclass, so you can see like right down here in the bottom left hand corner of my screen, I'm on a solar, which is like the fire element subclass for hunter. All of my abilities are the solar abilities for hunter. Okay. The new subclass is called prismatic, and we're gonna see it up here in a little bit. Prismatic's whole thing is that it represents your, so like originally we thought that that light was good and dark was evil. And then as we got into it, we realized it's not really that simple. We know the light from allies and we know the darkness from enemies, so that kind of like gave it this moral alignment that it doesn't actually like represent, right? So as things got more desperate in the solar system over the last few years, our Guardian has learned how to harness darkness powers to become stronger, to grow their power. And prismatic here in the Traveler, in the like source of light in our universe, we are finally learning it is being infested by darkness. Like the Herald of Darkness is now taking root inside the Traveler, so there's huge amounts of like pure light and pure dark everywhere. And our Guardian learns how to harmonize it within themselves in complete harmony and wield light and darkness together. The mechanical effects of that are that you get a subclass where you can just pick and choose abilities from all the other subclasses and run them at the same time.
Oh.
So that opens up new interactions that were before like pretty much completely impossible for someone to pull off by themselves. You know, you'd have to have like different teammates who were on different elements in order to have the sort of like stacking of like scorched and devoured and frozen, you know, like all these different keywords that are attached to each of the different elements. Now you can just kind of like mix and match at will and make this like really overpowered kind of like game breaking build. It's the kind of thing where like, I don't know if you remember when I was talking about Diablo 2 or Diablo 3, sorry. Towards the end of Diablo 3's like main development cycle before they were getting ready for Diablo 4, they were kind of like fuck it, and they like started adding mechanics to the game that were just like game breaking. That's kind of what they're doing here. They're adding
I think the feed just died, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It should be back.
Okay. Just making sure.
And so like this new subclass kind of represents you achieving the full potential of your power. The story of the expansion is, I mean, honestly, it is, I think it's the best story campaign they've ever done. And I've really enjoyed a few of the past ones. This kind of feels like a natural progression where like every few expansions we got something that was like really special. Forsaken was really cool, and then a couple expansions later we got Witch Queen, which was another really good one that had a lot of like interesting revelations and twists in the lore. And then this one is like a perfect encapsulation between like resolving a lot of like lore questions and plot threads about like what is the nature of light and dark, what is the nature of the world we live in here, and like really emotional catharsis and emotional kind of completion of characters' arcs, like Cade 6 coming back. And
have you finished this expansion at this point?
Oh yeah. Dang. So that's what that was the main thing I really wanted to talk about, was how they handled the structure of the story campaign and the conclusion of the campaign.
Which is essentially, as I understand it, the end of Destiny 2?
No.
What?
No.
I thought the final shape was supposed to be like the like this is like we just had a whole conversation about the Oscars.
No, we'll get into it. Well, okay. I know, and that's why I was kind of pushing back on that, is because it's not really like the thing about like what has been happening with Destiny's trajectory lately is that like it was kind of in this weird stagnated position after Lightfall, and a lot of people were saying like, all right, well, I'm going to stick around for the final shape, and then that's probably going to be it for me, right? Like,
Right.
we can't really take much more of the game as it is.
Gotcha.
And people were really just kind of invested in the story. Over the last year, Bungie's kind of like tried to claw their way out of that pit, and they were doing a pretty good job for a while, like kind of making progress. And then a couple months ago, something happened, and they were just like, "We really need to up the ante here." A big contributing factor to that is that this expansion got pushed back by like 3 months.
Yeah.
It was originally supposed to come out like in March. It got pushed back 3 months. So the season that we were currently on got extended by 3 months. But the story of the season didn't get extended. So
Gotcha.
basically there was like this, we have 3 months of this season kind of stagnating with the story ending. Like, what are we going to fill it with? So they came up with Into the Light, which was a free expansion that everybody got that added horde mode. It was that thing I talked about that added that onslaught like horde mode. It added a new sort of reprisal of fan favorite weapons. Like, there was like 8 or 10 weapons from the past where most of them had been deprecated and weren't usable anymore. They had released new versions of those weapons for people to earn, and like, honestly, it was incredible. Like, the whole Into the Light thing was amazing and really like surprised people and got everyone excited. Like, people were actually kind of like, I can't believe I'm this excited about the final shape at this point. Like, it really got everybody going. And then the final shape comes out and it's like,
they stuck the landing.
I mean, I never would. I had hoped that it would have been good. I never could have hoped it'd been this good though. Like, it's fucking crazy good.
I mean, it might just be
This
me
is
reading
why-
the tea leaves, but I want to think that like a part of the delay stemmed from the feedback of the that pre-alpha for that other game,
Marathon?
Marathon, yeah.
Marathon, yeah, they were in a really tough spot too, because it's like, for a while it seemed like, I think the rumor was that they had kind of like been shifting a lot of resources from Destiny to Marathon, or at least the executives had been driving the company that way, because they wanted Marathon to be like a new like main revenue source for them. And that is the kind of news that was really making people worried about the final shape.
Yeah.
But it does. I do think at some point, they were kind of like, well, we need to like rethink what's going on with Marathon, and in the meantime, we need the final shape to be good. Like, basically, if the final shape flopped, Bungie might, and maybe still, I mean, who knows? Like, this industry fucking sucks, right?
Yeah.
Fact.
Bungie is basically trying to not be relegated to a support studio for Microsoft, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and they needed this expansion to really hit in order to avoid that fate.
Wait, you mean Sony, right?
Yeah, he
Sony.
needs Sony.
Yeah. What did I say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, am I
Microsoft.
misremembering? I can't remember.
No, I meant Sony. Yeah.
Okay.
14 years out of date.
Oh, that's right.
Right. Yeah. So everyone was really kind of hoping that this would be good, but you know, a lot of people weren't really holding their breath, and then Final Shape drops, and it's fucking crazy. It's so good. One thing that I think this game handled the ending of the story really well, like, and the way it told it, right? Because it did something it hasn't really done before in that it made this new location, which is where we are, the Pale Heart. This new location is much more linear than previous locations. And it's kind of like representing the journey from like where we enter the Pale Heart, where like the light is at its strongest, journeying through the Pale Heart to the spire in the center where the Watcher is, where the darkness is the strongest. And you kind of go through this like psychological and emotional journey as you're getting there. This whole environment, because it is like made of these paracausal forces, is completely dreamlike. It's just like ideas and thoughts of people inside the Traveler being made manifest into like real locations. That's why this location that we're in right now is actually the tower from the first Destiny, the one that was destroyed at the beginning of Destiny 2.
Oh.
And then as we go in, there's like different like basically where different characters were in the Traveler changed to reflect those people. So there's a lot of like really wild, kind of dark places in here. And the campaign was split into 7 missions. So you do your 7 story missions, and then at the end of the campaign, you go do a boss fight against the Witness, but you don't defeat the Witness. The Witness wins, and you have to escape.
Are we getting into spoiler territory here?
I mean, no, yes and no. I don't know, but I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that question, Nick.
I mean, from an outsider perspective, it feels like everything Krispy is saying is so abstract that unless you're invested in Destiny, it's kind of hard to understand exactly what you're talking about.
Literally,
I don't really know
because it's doing the thing with all the common nouns or proper nouns or whatever. Half the time I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
What the fuck is a traveler?
Okay. Well,
It's a big sphere with magic.
I didn't want this to just be me telling Destiny lore the whole time.
No, I don't think it should
it's-
be. I think
Let's be honest, the Destiny lore.
But it is
Right.
interesting. That is what is really cool about Destiny.
So,
But you basically do a fight that isn't the final fight, and then they release the raid. Okay, so the way it usually worked before is they would release the campaign, they would give people 10 days or 2 weeks to level up as much as they could, and then they would release the raid. And the raids are the super difficult high level activities. They're 6-man activities that have all these mechanics and boss fights, and they're the hardest content in the game. Okay, normally the day that those raids come out, there is a world's first race where they have the raid set in what they call contest mode, where it's even harder than it will normally be.
it's the race to who completes it the first.
Yeah, to find the first fire team to finish it, and everyone in the world is watching all these people on Twitch try to beat the raid. This raid was the longest race. It was the hardest raid that they've ever put out, and it was the longest race to finish. The raid team who won beat it in 18 and a half hours.
Jesus Christ!
It took them that long to figure out and beat 5 encounters. It's 5 encounters. Yeah,
that's
the one before
insane.
that.
It's
The one
actually
before
pretty
that.
cool.
The one before that that was the longest was 18 hours, I think. Most of them have not been that long, but the really difficult ones were. The last one that was even close to being that long was that long because of the way the powering level worked at the time. Everyone went into the raid really underpowered. Here, it was just that hard because it was just that fucking hard.
Gotcha.
It was wild. Most are 5 or 6 hours, but this one was 18 and a half hours. And I was I think they finished the raid at 7 in the morning because I was playing. I had finished the campaign, and at the end of the campaign, they're the final battle's about to take place right before they launch the raid. And then they launch the raid. Everyone goes and tries to beat it. One team finally does beat it. And then Bungie drops the final mission. As soon as they confirmed that a team beat the raid, they dropped the final mission into the game. I was playing the game. It was 7 in the morning, and I was about to go to bed. I had finished the campaign, I just saw an objective marker pop up that's unmake the witness, and I was like, what the fuck? So I selected it. There was a new mission available. I opened it up, and it puts me in a queue for a 12-man activity. Destiny's never had a 12-man activity before.
Okay.
They put you in a 12-man activity, and the mission is a full-on assault on the witness's tower. It is Helm's Deep. It is the fucking Avengers Endgame. Everyone's been calling it.
That's pretty cool.
And it's you and 11 other Guardians fighting just an absolute mess of enemies, along with a mess of friendly NPCs. All the characters we know and love in the game are out there on the battlefield fighting with us. It's literally everybody. It's everybody, and they are there's so many people on the field throwing so many supers and shit like that they are just spawning champions and tormentors and subjugators left and right. It is fucking ridiculous.
Does Zavala say on your left and everybody starts crying?
You can make all the fucking jokes you want, but yes.
I mean,
I did absolutely fucking cry. I did absolutely fucking cry during that final mission because it is. I don't want to tell you what happens in the mission, but
That just sounds like a really cool one.
I mean, if you
experience.
go on YouTube, there's like reactions to the final like 30 minutes of this game, like through the excision mission and the final cutscene, and like not a fucking dry eye in the house. Not a
this
fucking
is
dry
why
eye
you
in the
can never
house.
experience Destiny, because people who play Destiny are the people who've gone through all of it. It's this guy. You can't just have that experience. It's already too late.
I mean,
you.
I think you fucking can.
I mean, here's the
just
thing.
saying that because he wants to sell another copy of the game.
There's
or
still
whatever.
Why do I care if you buy a fucking copy of the game?
I still think it's really fucking cool. I mean, even though I know I'll probably never get to have that specific experience, it's cool knowing, especially like if I ever got to that point, it'd be cool to know that like what it was like, having heard the story, like what it was like when it first became available, because that's pretty fucking phenomenal. Like that sounds awesome.
Do you think if Brad started playing Destiny, I would be playing Destiny with Brad? Like, I'm not like trying to sell anybody here. I'm trying to express to you that it was it was like, again, this is like 7 a.m, and all of a sudden, like, this thing pops up on my screen that's like, it's time.
I'm still trying to get over
I didn't know that was gonna happen. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't ready for it. And I was about to go to bed, and instead I like logged into this mission. Like, I haven't felt this way playing like the final mission of a game since like fucking Final Fantasy 14, like Shadowbringers or something like that, where it was just like, this is a beautiful fucking moment. Like, it's incredible. Like,
I mean,
I believe you.
That sounds so real quick, just because I just want to make sure I'm understanding it, because we had this conversation before about like Destiny 3 might be on the horizon or whatnot. So, and you just said that this is not the end of Destiny 2. So what do you mean?
Okay, so today is 1 week from the launch of the expansion, right? Today they've moved into their new content model, which they're calling episodes instead of seasons. So today was the launch of episode 1, Echoes, which is going to be a story that takes place over the next couple months, and then they're going to do another episode and then another episode, and that takes us through 2024. On Monday, they put out a little preview video of the next 3 episodes, kind of outlining what the themes and like kind of the general vibe of the episodes are going to be. So this one coming up is all about the Vex, which are like the robot people, the robot races, or the robot like bad guys, not like normal exos, but like Vex. There's one that's going to be about the Fallen that they're saying is like a vampire hunter kind of themed one. Like, you're going to have like Van Helsing style armor, and you become what they call Slayer
Nick's
Baron.
attention.
Yeah, and then they're doing one about the Hive, so magic and sorcery and stuff like that. And then all they said was 2025 Destiny 2 codename Frontiers. We have no idea what that even means or what it is, but they're teasing something for next year.
Something pretty major, it sounds like.
Something pretty major. And where the story's at right now, a lot of people are saying Frontiers. Well, now we've beaten the Witness. Like, the forces of darkness are no longer being led by a singular voice. They're in chaos. Like, we're no longer in the same position we were in for 10 years, where we were like defending Earth from encroaching darkness on all sides. So they're saying maybe now it's time to like venture out of the solar system and go to other planets, because now we have all these alien allies. Like, we have the Cabal and we have the Fallen are our allies, and both of them come from planets that they've lost. So maybe like part of what Frontiers is going to be is us going back and like retaking the Cabal homeworld of Tora Bottle and retaking the Fallen. Yeah, man,
No,
that's a good name
on this
Krispy.
fucking podcast.
You said Cora
suck.
Bottle. Hey, come on. It's a good name. Can't laugh at a good name.
Hey man, I don't know what I don't know. Hey, don't.
One is allowed
I
to
get
say
it, Nick.
that.
Nick, I get it. I get the fucking pain of having the audacity of liking things.
Oh, shut up. I laughed at Cora Bottle. It's not.
It was Tor
I get it.
with a
Colonialism.
with a T, you fucking bitch.
What did I say? Tora bottle.
Jesus.
Tora bottle.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, you're right.
I'm genuinely
Okay,
excited
I
for
was
this.
like when this was happening, I was like, I cannot wait to talk about this on the podcast, and you've just completely.
You talked about this
made
shit for
me
the past
regret it.
35 minutes with a shine in your eyes, and we all responded to that with good vibes. I laugh at Tora Bottle, and you're like, oh, these guys are so rude. Stop it. Stop it.
Yes, just
Tora
Brad.
Bottle is a funny name. You said it with seriousness and gusto. I laughed. Move on.
So, what is the general thought
Let's move.
process for Destiny's future amongst computing? I mean, like, is Destiny
So I
3
shouldn't
an
be
actual
waiting.
thing that's going to happen?
I mean, a lot of people seem to think that that's.
Could Frontiers be what is essentially Destiny 3, but maybe they're just dropping the number?
It's probably like the last episode.
One of the
right?
things that's kind of like fueling this idea of Destiny 3 is that the leaker who leaked Prismatic before they announced it, there was a prominent leaker who told everyone about Prismatic and got a lot of stuff right, and they had said that it was originally a feature that they were planning for Destiny 3 that they decided to move up to the final shape to kind of
Which means 3 has to still exist in some form.
to kind of help juice it.
I mean,
Yeah,
theoretically,
I
but
guess.
like, if you're taking content from a future game and putting it into your existing game, you're just kind of undercutting like the content that you're putting into the third game. So you got to replace that content with something.
But it almost feels like
Well,
this is like
that's
Destiny's.
true, but it's like Destiny 3, if it exists, is probably still like in pre-production. You know,
Yeah.
it's not
And,
really
like-
yeah.
in a world where like we constantly talk about like games trying to establish themselves as platforms, you know what I mean? Like the actual like games as a service, where it's like over an extended period of time. And the only reason, like, it's been kind of rocky for Destiny 2 over the past few years and whatnot, but I feel like they've maybe have found their footing. So it's kind of like, do we need to rush to Destiny 3, or can we continue to like flesh out Destiny 2?
You gotta rip the Band-Aid off at some point.
Well, at some
Yeah.
point.
Just-
I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, I feel like it's
I mean,
inevitably going to happen at some
People
point.
who are excited seem to be receptive to the idea of a 3 because there's always like been pretty big pie in the sky ideas of what a Destiny 3 should be that you probably couldn't just like patch into
Yeah.
2. You know what I mean?
You don't want an Overwatch situation. Either.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
I'm just thinking like, you spend 10 years building up this narrative. You have a final mission that concludes the overall narrative arc of 2 whole games. And you're like, what now? Oh, we make a sequel. Where do you go from there in such a way that keeps the audience excited and coming
It's a big
back?
question.
That is a very big question.
That is a very
Probably-
big question. I mean, are you talking about gameplay wise? Are you talking narratively? Like narratively, there's a lot of shit we still don't know. Like there's and the 3 episodes we know are all touching on storylines that like have not been expanded on at all, really. So there's a lot of lore space to cover, and I think most people who are into Destiny are somewhat into the lore, and that is a big thing that kind of drives excitement.
I mean, you say that, but the thing is, Bungie historically has been very bad at managing their lore. Like,
You say historically, but you're talking about
this is
Halo.
the series that started with all the lore on a website. They've come a long way.
That is true.
This is
true.
not that. This is first of all, this is not that Bungie because anybody who was still at the company who was part of that Bungie probably got fired a couple months ago.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Second of all, yeah,
this fucking industry.
forgot about that, right? Yeah. A bunch of people, including like the composers of the absolutely
Oh
beautiful soundtrack that I'm listening to right now, got fired. Awful.
Well, also he was.
But yeah,
problematic.
no,
Was
no,
he?
no, not.
I don't-
No, that guy hasn't worked at Bungie. Fucking
Yeah.
Marty
Since
O'Donnell
Destiny 1.
Marty O'Donnell.
Yeah.
hasn't worked at Bungie since Destiny 1, and
Yeah.
he
Oh,
is.
I thought that's who we were talking about. I'm sorry.
No.
He came over from Halo, I think, and
He was
Yeah.
an original Bungie guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did all the
Original
Halo
piece of shit, am I right?
Yeah, I mean he was. Yeah, I remember seeing him post like fucking dumb shit on the Bungie forums, like when Bush was in office.
So you're
Jesus fucking
so you're saying
Christ.
this isn't the last time we're going to hear you talk about Destiny 2 on this podcast?
It is because I mean, fuck that. But
What
it's
was it? The
not-
Torah bottle? Did the Torah bottle push you over the edge?
I was already on the edge. You were like in Discord yesterday saying nobody gives a shit. Like, it's kind of hard to put myself
that
out
is
there
not,
when it's.
not only is that not true.
I'm
I said people
sorry.
who don't
Oh no, I remember the time you posted it too.
wait. You said I
Get
said
that
people
time
who don't
index.
play Destiny don't care about Destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who listen to our podcast, and a lot of those people do play Destiny.
And you know
So
what?
Get over it.
I'm gonna.
Ain't
I'm
nobody care about the fucking altars, which I'm about to talk about.
Hey,
but,
Crispy.
Yeah, but you
I just
don't
want
care
you to
about the
know.
altar.
Crispy, I just want
It
you to know.
doesn't matter.
I'm going to uninstall Rise of the Ronin tonight and install Destiny 2.
Oh
Yeah,
shit!
That's I don't think that's a solution. You're gonna uninstall Rise of the Ronin, and it has nothing to do with Destiny.
Yeah,
let's
no,
be real.
that's actually probably true.
So
Has
that end,
everything
I do
to
have
do
a
with
I do have a question,
Ubisoft.
Crispy. Ahead of because it was widely reported that they were removing content that was old stuff ahead of the final shape. But I heard that they brought some stuff back. Like, if I wanted to get into Destiny today as a brand new player, like, what can I play beyond the
All of
final
it.
shape?
You're wild. Are you? Is this a serious question?
Chris Davis, if you do it, I'll do it. We can do it together.
No, I'm not. I'm
You
not going to play
can-
Destiny
you
2
can
again.
play-
Season this man.
You can play every expansion back to the moon one. What was
The
one
moon?
called?
Like
No,
Tyrion
what was
Lannister's the moon.
No, that was like literally the first 5 minutes of the
Yeah,
original
just-
Destiny, Brad.
Just stop talking.
I played the beta for the original Destiny, and
So
that was
did
the
I.
last time I played Destiny.
Yeah,
But,
I played the beta
It's
too.
pretty cool.
You can go
Peter Pan.
back through. Jesus fucking Christ! Load. So they have a new thing now called the Legacy Collection, which does Beyond Light. Oh, so Beyond Light and Shadowkeep are free already. So if you're free to play player, you can start at Shadowkeep and then play Beyond Light. Or
It's one of
Beyond
the
Light
best
Shadowkeep.
values in gaming.
And then if you buy the Legacy Collection, you get Lightfall, Witch Queen, the Bungie 30th Anniversary Pack.
I might have some questions for you after this podcast.
Yeah, let's.
or during the break.
Yeah. So
Is Chris
of
Davis being
all
sincere?
the so of all the expansions that have been released, you can still access 5 of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
5.
cool with me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Are there any
5
Destiny
including
books? Are there any Destiny books?
No
There's not?
Oh wow.
novels. No, it's all online.
That's actually kind of surprising.
Most of it's in the game. Like most of it,
That's
there are
what
lore books in the game.
Hell yeah.
Sounds dry.
It's very dry. Unless you like the lore and like reading, you fucking Philistine.
Hey, well,
They're not voice acted.
They're not voice acted.
I am going
I'm
to.
super out.
I am going to legitimately give this some serious consideration.
I will not sit here and let these men lie to you. These grown ass men lie to you, Crispy.
No, I'm serious.
I am
man. I'm
happy
serious.
you are happy, but these men are. I don't know what they're
No.
doing, but they are full of
Okay,
shit.
but
No, I am not.
Chris-
I'm not in a
I
position
will
that I
prove you
want to
wrong.
start Destiny 2 again.
Chris, Nick,
I was genuinely
wouldn't
curious.
it be funny if you did?
I'm serious, but that's neither here nor there. Let's
Yeah,
let's
come
shift
on, Nick.
gears.
Let's do it. Let's
Let's-
go fucking.
let's fucking
do
go.
Some strikes. Let's do some
Let's
strikes.
Fucking go. Let's prove this man wrong. But in the meantime, let's shift gears. It is
Crispy,
Summer
I
Game
just want to
Fest.
say I am so
God.
happy for you that you finally got to find out that it was
Guys,
in fact
it's
a rhombus.
Destiny 2 is good again. Like, come on, like that's awesome.
That's all
like,
I've been waiting for, man. That's
what
all
a
I've been
what a
waiting for.
win! Be
It is a win.
You are
just
happy
looked,
for
there's
me, I
over
get it.
200,000
You'd be happy.
concurrents right now. They don't need 2 more knuckleheads. Krispy's in good shape, and so is 250,000 people. We're doing
Hey,
good.
listen. Don't worry about
Next
him. So real quick, it is Steam Next Fest right now, which is coinciding with Summer Game Fest, and I
A
know
lot
Brad,
of big games.
you played a demo for the Altars, which is the game you picked up for Fancy Critic, if I recall.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to play that demo. Not just because I picked it up for Fancy Critic, but because I think
It's
the
interesting.
Altars genuinely seems interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's a really ambitious
It
project
does.
for the studio, and I don't. It's God, where to start? It's a weird one. So this is a
Fallout Shelter.
not.
It does
So
look a
you
little Fallout
can
Shelter.
you do kind of like craft
Is that a
rooms in your
lamp?
base and choose where you want to place them, and you got to have the elevator space. You got to move shit around. There is a bit of base building here. You do hang out a lot in your base, like crafting things and talking to altars.
This is
So-
the game where you were. Well, I know you're about to.
Yes, let me set it up. This is
Yeah,
I guess it's a survival game. It's a story game where you are stranded on an alien planet of sorts, and all your crew is dead, and you have this base, and you're just trying to survive, but you're all alone. Then you find this resource. Well, one, there's a mysterious voice from some company that's very staticky. It's very alien, who's kind of telling you, "Hey, man, you need to get some of this resource." And like, dog, you need to clone yourself, otherwise you're not going to make it. Because like the
It's
only
imperative
person
that you
that's
clone
going to help
yourself.
you is yourself. So you find this resource on this alien planet called Rapidium or whatever, and Rapidium lets you create clones. First you do a sheep, and then the company's like, dude, you need to do yourself, homie. And so you clone yourself. So it's a survival story game where you are. It's a Strand like, maybe, if you will.
I was like, people in chat are calling this. I can't tell if they're
Because this is
joking
not
or
a
they're
combat
saying
game. There's no combat as far as I'm aware. This is a survival game where you're going out to get resources, to craft things. But it is
it
so
like
very
satisfactory?
no, because it's not really deep with the survival mechanics from what I've seen. So this demo very much seems like the start of the game, right? And there's a lot to do and establish during that start of the game, and a lot to do and establish during that demo. You basically play the first chapter of the game. Stuff kind of like moves along at a clip. Like you're going from getting metals and materials from the land to like talking to a clone of yourself pretty quickly. And I feel like the game kind of has to like get it's a little weird. It's almost crazy how quickly that happens. I don't think it's for the necessarily for the sake of the demo. I don't know how far this game is out. They do say 2024, but I do think this is more or less just kind of how the game starts. It has to move at a certain pace because it's a very big, ambitious story to some extent, because the core hook of the game is not just these survival elements. At least in this first chapter, the survival crafting elements seem very light and very guided, almost like tutorialized, right? I feel like I have very little agency as to what I can do as far as like playing this as a survival game, to the point
I
where
feel like that's how most survival games start, right? They're like,
no. This is super guided. Like they're pretty much telling you what to do. There's pretty much like one spot where you can get one kind of resource and another spot where you can get another kind of resource. And beyond that, like this is very much a game guided by not just the tutorial, but like the story, which is the fact that you are not just creating an altar for yourself. You are, having conversations with them. You're seeing like little like mood, like you see little like mood bubbles floating around your altar as you're having a conversation with them, because hey, this altar is kind of like, hey, who the fuck am I, what's going on here, hey, I'm you, you fucking created me, and you need help with your base, fuck you, and you're like having conversations with them to try to like be like, no man, we're cool.
No, come on, just let me use your slave labor.
It's a really ambitious topic and like theme for a game that it's so weird. So ultimately you're going to be creating these altars and working with them to succeed in the survival game. Like I think you just saw me like farming a resource for myself. Like in the future, I believe I could just have altars do that for me, kind of go out into the world and come back. But it does have this survival game framework, like where you get tired, you eventually have to go back, you have to rest, you can't keep doing stuff out in the world. You have to eat food, your base needs a certain, protection, that sort of thing. I created this little energy pipeline or whatever.
It's looking like a Strand game to me.
Yeah, but again, that stuff seems very light and very guided, and I don't know how deep it's going to be, because the game almost seems more concerned with all this narrative stuff. So I needed an engineer, and I'm not an engineer, and I need an engineer to help with something in the base, otherwise I was going to die. So I literally went into like a timeline of my memories since I was a baby and altered a certain point in my life, like big key decisions. And
you altered the memory of that certain point in your life.
At this key point in my life, this memory, I made a different choice. I stayed home with my sick mother instead of going off to college or whatever. And that creates a whole other path of memories that made me go from the fucking science nerd I am to becoming like an engineer or whatever. And that's
weird.
The altar I created with this change in my timeline. And that's how you create all these different altars. And there's like, if you've seen a trailer, there's like all these different altars. Like one of them has a guitar. Like, what the fuck did I do during my life to make me throw away my science background and become a rock star? I don't fucking know.
The scientists can't play guitars. We all know this.
Structure, and you're having conversations with all these altars. At one point, I went into my memories and kind of read up on some stuff so I can like find some, like, because I had a pretty hostile relationship with this altar. And it was like, hey man, remember mom? And he's like, yeah, mom. And like, we eventually started bonding over like our mom's pierogies. And eventually me and this altar made pierogies together. And now we're like buds. It's like a cool idea, but it was very guided. And I'm not sure the game, first of all, the very nature of a survival game, but also the nature of like how these hostile relationships and like saying things to not piss off your altars. Again, mood bubbles. There's also like negative ones that say like rebellion and anxiety and stuff. It feels like a game that has to have fail states, real fail states. Otherwise, this genre doesn't work and this story doesn't work. But I also feel like none of my choices really mattered. And it was just very linear, like in terms of the story it was telling. And I don't know if that's because it's a chapter 1 sort of thing, because
I mean, this map
purportedly this is a very like systemic game, right? Where like, I'm choosing where to put rooms in my base. Like I'm moving stuff around. It seems like a game that is driven by systems. That's what a survival game is. But and even though I'm going out to do things and I'm making choices in conversation, it really feels like none of that matters. Like when I recorded footage, I literally picked the opposite dialogue choice and choice for every single conversation I had with this person, and it changed nothing.
That's maybe more telling than anything you've said up to this point. But I also feel like the nature of survival games in general is that I feel like it must be a really hard thing to demo effectively, because
but this doesn't feel like a demo at all. This feels like the first chapter of the game.
And it could be.
Which is maybe fine that it's so guided and linear, but
I mean, it's the job of a demo to like express what the game is going to be effectively. And it sounds like maybe, I mean, the hope is maybe
what is the job of a chapter 1 of a game though, like this? Because I mean, that's really, I think, what this is. You literally start on day 1,
right? And I think maybe that was maybe a mistake, because for me, like, survival games have always been a build-up, a ramping up of mechanical systems. So they always start to me, they've always felt kind of guided at first, and then as you get more and you learn to understand the environment more and you find more resources, things start to become more and more complex. But they always start pretty narrow. So like starting at the beginning of any survival game to me seems strange for a demo.
Yeah, but this doesn't start like a survival game then, because it's not even close to how you start off in, like, I played several survival games and nothing starts out like this. This is guided by the narrative, and I'm just curious as to like how complex is it going to get as a survival game or a systems game, and even in terms of like my interactions with these altars, like even the kinds of altars I choose to create, will I even have a choice in that? The trailer definitely shows different kinds of altars, but I'm saying I'm not sure there's ever going to be a point where I pull up the timeline of my memories and choose one thing over another,
And have it
unless
make a difference.
that other thing is going to come like right after. Like I don't get the vibe that I'm going to have much agency in a game, in a setting, in a genre where I feel like agency is everything. And I feel like that's a little. I feel like they're trying
So
to
are you
have
a
their
little
cake and eat
worried?
it too, and I don't think they can do both. And I don't think the game is going to pull it off unless this is a much bigger project than I'm realizing. Which is
What's the name of the
possible.
studio again? This is it 11-bit? No.
This is 11-bit. Yeah, the creators of
Okay.
Frostpunk and This War of Mine. Which
I mean, those
so
games
this
are
War
pretty
of
systemic.
Mine is a pretty like systemic game, and Frostpunk is
Yes.
of course a very systemic game. So I believe that they can make that kind of game, but again, wrapping it in this narrative seems super ambitious because you can't just it can't just be a good video game if this is a game where all of the characters are just various personalities of the same person. That's like an ambitious project even for the actor, because
Yeah.
like I mean, maybe he's gonna be doing different accents, like, oh, then I left home and moved to Texas and now I sound like a cowboy.
And then-
I doubt it.
Just make a small
And-
change
and
like
like-
that,
and
and
like,
all of
is
a
a
sudden you
certain
say he
type
speaks
of-
Russian. You're like, what?
Everyone has a
Like-
cowboy altar.
I mean, but you see what I'm saying? Like I'm only, and most of the times where I have choices, it's only like it's only two choices in these conversations, and they don't really seem all that different. Some are, I mean, they're a little different, but I mean, am I going to choose to talk to one kind of altar a certain way versus another, like an Alpha Protocol situation? I doubt it. So I don't.
The more I think about it, the more I'm like, this maybe makes sense because their games are pretty complex, the ones that they've made in the past, and I feel like this is maybe has the potential to be one of the most complex they've ever made, and I just don't think you could throw someone into the deep end of a game like that and expect them to have any fucking idea what's going on.
I know. I get it. Even if the game is complex, the chapter one has to be pretty like chill or whatever, right?
Right.
I get it. But it also seems like a isometric fucking city builder or whatever, like Frostpunk, survival city town builder,
Right.
interface wise, like you're accomplishing so much with like just a handful of clicks. Even This War of Mine was a side scrolling, game where you're just kind of scavenging from room to room, and they kind of like weave narrative stuff in there pretty well. It's more like a State of Decay, honestly, like a side scrolling State of Decay without zombies, just bad people. There's a lot to like, it's cumbersome, like getting shit done in this game. I feel like to some extent, to the point where I get into conversations with alters and I'm talking to one person for a long time. It doesn't feel breezy or snappy. Like it almost feels like this kind of has to be more of a story game than a systems game. Otherwise, it's gonna. No one's ever gonna finish it.
Are you regretting your draft or your?
I played this game for like a few hours. I mean, and I feel like I'm nowhere. But unless this game is just not what I think it is, I'm saying this game could be 80 hours or it could be 10 hours, and I have no idea.
Well, then the demo didn't do its job
And stop
effectively.
asking me about Fantasy Critic. I have no fucking idea. I'm just thinking about this game as a game because it's
You
very
telling me to stop asking about
strange.
Fantasy
But,
Critic?
like, the tension of like trying to tell a story versus super being a genre that traditionally stays very far away from a story.
I just think you're not going to get answers to any of those questions until we have the whole picture. Like,
We need the whole picture. But like, let me tell you, it's ambitious, and if they can pull it off, like, I'm already like excited to like create some new alters. And by the end of it, like both these dudes were like pretty stoked about, yeah, let's make another dude. And then like the demo ends. I mean, I don't know. Like, is it? I feel like it wants to be emotional too, and like anti-corporation, like Alien or whatever kind of, right? I mean, it's doing a lot. It's doing a lot. But I guess This War of Mine was doing a lot. And Frostpunk,
I think most of
like
their
it
games
was
can be
it was
described
a
that way.
survival town builder, but it was also like, do you want to like implement slave labor or cut off every third man's arm? You got to choose. Like it was heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool. It's a cool game. It's cool that most demos I feel like during Next Fest are like, just little,
Say
pixel
it.
games and like
How dare you?
games that are going to launch in early access. Like this feels like a big ass video game, and it's cool to have a demo for it because most of the
Game with
demos
some
aren't
meat.
really like this. Not just the meat, just like ambition and like
Potatoes?
money. It's just weird. It's cool. I don't know. This game could get very high scores, and then I could see it getting scores that say, I don't know what this is. They were trying lots of things, and I'm not sure they succeeded on any of them. But again,
Only
that's
time
just
will tell.
basing it off of chapter 1.
Which is all you have to go on. All right. Well, only time will tell. This is supposed to come out this year, so maybe we'll find out sooner rather than later.
I could
don't
also
know.
see this slipping. Again, this is a game that doesn't have like even a month. It just says 2024. And again, it seems big.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's a demo because they'll get lots of feedback. But like the reception I've seen from like forums and trailers, like comments and stuff and threads, like people are like seem super jazzed about them doing this because it seems like a really cool project. And you know what was good? That movie Moon
Yeah.
and Alien
Yeah.
and Death Stranding was also cool. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean,
I agree with
feel
all
like,
those statements.
I feel like there's good hype for this game. I think there's more confusion than hype about this game. Like,
Well,
I
there's a
think
demo out now, Mr. Davis.
I think they need to do
mean-
more than just a demo. I think they need to do like a Rockstar style like series of introductions.
They
as
have,
to
they
the
have,
mechanics
and there was
stuff.
even a big
have?
preview where they invited, where like media covered it. You can watch long previews, people discussing this
Really?
game. It's out there, homie.
But
Okay.
also,
It's
don't
just,
forget, it's the marketing for this game is not done. This isn't the last thing, nail before in the coffin before this thing drops. Like there will be more to come. So we'll see what happens. All right,
would like to see some late game survival mechanics.
that would be helpful. Okay, I want to take a break because when we come back, we're gonna talk about Summer Game Fest, just in general. We're gonna talk about the highlights, the things we liked, some of the things we didn't like. I know Brad wants to have a little conversation about Dragon Age Veilguard. And then, of course, we'll wrap up with the 4-player minute. So if you're watching us live on Twitch or YouTube, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back to the show.
I feel like Nick has not said "calm down, killer" in a while. Wait, that's more of a Nolan thing.
That's more of a
You
Nolan
rip it off
thing.
Nolan?
I mean, somebody has to. Nolan's not here
How
tonight.
fucking dare you?
All right. So,
Dragon
as I
Age.
mentioned, okay, no setup at all. Just diving straight
Fuck
into
it. Everyone
Summer
knows what they're
Game-
here for. Most people. Do we even have ads during the ad break?
What?
During our breaks, do we have ads?
No.
On
the podcast?
No.
Okay, so like these people never even went anywhere. They've been we left, and a second later they're just. I hope Brad talks about Dragon Age now, right?
I guess
so.
so. Okay, well, I was gonna more set up Summer Game Fest in general, just in terms of
Yeah.
it's been a big week. We've had several showcases. We talked about a couple of them last week. This week we've since had the official Summer Game Fest showcase from
It
Jeff
sucked.
Keighley.
Yep,
It sucked. We've had the Xbox showcase, which did not suck. We've had the Ubisoft, whatever they call it. What do they call
Ubisoft Forward, which did suck.
I mean, it depends on who you ask. For me, it was exactly what I needed, but I totally get why you say that.
I think it was a boring.
They always do boring showcases, but they had good games to show.
It's not that it sucked. It's that they showed Assassin's Creed and Outlaws, and that's pretty much it. And that's all everyone was there for. And we saw
And
that.
Shadows and Assassin's Creed Shadows.
That's what I
What are you
said.
talking? You
what
said
I say?
Outlaws.
Outlaws and Assassin's Creed. Those are the two games people showed
Yeah,
up for, and that was pretty much all they had. And then they showed those, and it was.
But we're gonna We're gonna go into all that stuff in more detail. I just wanted to set it up for you. Now you were desperate to have this conversation about Dragon Age, which we finally.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's
re-reveal.
definitely like the biggest topic of the day, right?
I guess
You
it
know,
depends on who you ask.
So look, Nick, the thing is, Outlaws is going to be your game of the year, or fucking Assassin's Creed. That's fine, but those are so much known
You're
quantities.
such an asshole.
No, but am I wrong? Am I wrong?
I don't fucking know.
She floated down in a bubble, dog. Look,
I have said that that Outlaws is probably my most anticipated game of the year.
I'm saying they're known quantities. We've seen that game before. We know what Assassin's Creed is. Dragon Age was a big question mark. That BioWare has been gone for like a fucking decade. They have so much to prove. There's so much writing on this. They can't handle 3 L's after Anthem and bad Mass Effect. They have to have a win. You know? People were like, what is this game? It was in development hell. It started out as a games as a service game. They've rebooted this game maybe twice. And now it's here. And that's why I think it's a big deal. You know what I mean?
I mean, I was not trying to undersell it. I do agree that it is a big deal.
A big deal. Especially, and
I'm going to let you talk about
podcast, and we don't have to get into it now, but they revealed themselves again with a cinematic trailer that made many people not happy. But they have since showed off some gameplay, and now the opinions are more delightfully mixed than universally negative, minus Nick.
I've also noticed a lot of critics who were at the Play Days, the Summer Game Fest thing, who are very much in the camp of this is my highlight of the show.
Yeah, but again, I feel like so much of it has been known quantities. This was a surprise. I feel like a lot of people, and I could definitely see critics, were like pretty down on like I feel like expectations were in the toilet for Dragon Age. Just modern BioWare. I don't even think people were already kind of like iffy about Inquisition. I mean, some people liked it, but some people didn't. I feel like expectations for Dragon Age were in the toilet, especially after that cinematic trailer where most people agreed that this thing sucks. And, you know, so some of those same critics, Nicholas, who were happy about the gameplay, said the same fucking thing. That cinematic trailer sucked, but you know what? The gameplay was cool. And
why did you just come at me like that?
Because you rolled your eyes, bitch.
I did roll
a video call.
I did roll my eyes.
Is everybody here seen the gameplay 20 minutes?
Yes.
Nope.
Krispy, please.
I have not.
Is it showing now?
Yes.
Okay. Are you looking at it now, Krispy?
I will be once this ad finishes.
Okay. Well, this doesn't resemble Dragon Age. They've made a bit of an action RPG, I guess. Action game.
Okay. Real quick, let me dissect that for a second, because Dragon Age, I don't think has had a consistent genre. Like, it's almost been an inconsistent genre since the beginning. Like, it started Dragon Age Origins is a very different game from Dragon Age 2, which is a very different game from Dragon Age Inquisition. So this is, I mean,
sort of.
This
doesn't feel like an evolution of that. This feels like
I don't think any game has felt like an evolution of the game that came
See,
before.
I completely disagree. I think from Dragon Age Origins to 2 to 3, it was definitely like a speeding up, because if you played Dragon Age Origins on 360, it was sort of like, you know, a behind the back camera kind of game. You know, it wasn't that isometric, you know, Baldur's Gate experience necessarily like it was on PC. You were down in the shit, and you know,
and it looked like
aiming your cone of cold. Well, I mean, it was an old game.
On 360. That's all I'm saying.
No, I mean, I think Dragon Age Origins is a nice looking game, but it was not designed to be played from that perspective necessarily. And I feel like 2 and 3 was an evolution of that, where they were trying to speed it up to make it feel like a game that is played from that perspective. You know, if you play Dragon Age Origins on a console, right?
Sure.
and you know, along the way they did lose like the complexity of the tactics menu, but Dragon Age 2 had the tactics menu just like the first game, where you were doing the AI scripts Final Fantasy 12 style. I think by the time they got to Inquisition, God, correct me if I'm wrong, like I'm pretty sure that was gone. But you could still switch characters. You still had like pretty complex like skill trees and stuff. Like it was a speeding up of that what I think was pretty much core to all of those games. This seems like a completely different vision for how you approach combat in a Dragon Age games. This seems like, like an action game. Like it really does. Like an action RPG, like you're playing the fucking Witcher or something. And Dragon Age was never that. It was a party based RPG. Even if they sped it up, and moved the camera a little bit closer from entry to entry, it was still a party based RPG where you were thinking about those compositions, you were thinking about your build, you were thinking about your skill tree. That shit mattered. This feels like a game where reflexes matter. Like if you watch this combat, he is keeping enemies at bay by moving he is striking this enemy and striking that enemy, and right before this enemy hits him over here, he is mid combo turning his blade, doing dodges. This is a very
we live
different
in a
vision for Dragon Age. Now
we live in a post Dark Souls world now, which, well, I
I'm
guess
not saying Dark Souls either. But
no,
see,
but I'm saying the action
it's the fact
RPG.
that a game like this is probably never going to feel more like it's never going to feel like that party based RPG like Dragon Age used to. Now, I do think it's probably a little bit more like Mass Effect, and some people are okay with that. A lot of people like Mass Effect, but I look at this gameplay, and to me, this looks like Mass Effect with swords way more than it does like a Dragon Age game.
Even then, I feel like that might be a bit of a stretch. But also, can I just say, I mean, look, you're also
you can't switch to your party members. You trigger their abilities the same way you trigger their abilities in Mass Effect. You have one or two guys with you, and their ability is on the same wheel that I believe your abilities are.
The angle that I'm coming from here, and admittedly, as someone who played about 10 hours of Dragon Age Inquisition, never left the hinterlands, and has not touched it since.
Sure.
And having played all the way through Dragon Age Origins and 2, after those two games, I can say that the thing that has always been far more important to me in a Dragon Age game is the story and its characters. Okay, I've never felt like I've just never really cared too much about what form the combat takes.
So this is where I say, good for you, you're bad, but that's okay. We don't have to argue about it. The thing is, I agree with you to some extent. I think most Dragon Age fans and BioWare fans, they're there for the characters, they're there for those relationships. And while I do firmly believe that cinematic trailer sucked ass, the actual interactions and the writing and the character moments and the stuff that you see throughout this 20 minutes is fine to good. Like that stuff is good, especially seeing Varric confronting Solus at the end there. There's real you feel like there's real emotional stakes there. These are characters that were companions in a previous Dragon Age game, on the good side, and you're like, there's tension in that moment. It's that moment of everyone is telling him, nah, dude, don't fuck with this guy. And he's like, nah, let me talk to him. I know this guy. It's like that moment. And everyone's like, dude, you're going to die. I'm already invested in this story because, and granted, maybe I owe that to characters, like a bit of a Mass Effect 3 thing, right? I owe that to characters and relationships that have already been established, and I don't really know these new characters, but that stuff seems like what I expect from a Dragon Age game. All I'm saying is that it just doesn't feel like a big party based RPG like Dragon Age does. This feels like a very different thing. And you might disagree, but I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I just don't
care that much. It's not that
yeah, sure. You can say that too, but I assure you, there are people who do care and will care. And while it's not 95% thumbs down like that cinematic trailer, you look at the response to the gameplay 20 minutes and it's about half and half. There's about half thumbs downs, half thumbs up. So there are definitely people who are like, okay, this is good. I mean, I'm okay with this, right? Right. Obviously everyone panned that first thing. Some people are happy, and that's good. Maybe they should have led with this. In fact, I believe if they led with this and not that cinematic thing, there probably would not even be as many thumbs downs on this gameplay reveal as there are. I think it put people off on a really bad foot, and people are just now they're looking for blood, honestly. But
such as the way of the fucking internet. With that said,
man, I don't know. It seems like a well like polished experience, right? It doesn't seem like I feel like a lot of games, from this year, like your, Dragon's Dogmas and stuff, like you feel like they're barely holding together, right? And this feels like a really polished demo. And it needed to be, right? Like this is a game that has so much to prove and so much to live up to that they can't really deal with having like it be a technical mess on top of it, right? Like that was like the nail in the coffin for Mass Effect Andromeda, right? It wasn't that people were already like upset that they were doing this new stuff and maybe they didn't really like the characters and this new vision for the series, but the fact that it was like a technical disaster on top of it at launch, Mass Effect Andromeda, just made it so easy for people to become like a hate mob. So it's good to see Dragon Age being like, nice, smooth, polished looking in this demo, because I don't think they could have survived it otherwise.
Which is also why I said we were talking earlier before the show about when we think this game is coming, because they've said 2024, but no hard month or day or anything like that. And we're talking about the potential for it to slip. And I was like, I don't think they can afford to, one, release this game before it's ready from a technical standpoint, and I don't think they can afford to mention a year, like any form of release window, and then push it out of that window, because people are so ready to just get out their pitchforks when it comes to BioWare right now. Which makes me think
something tells me the reason a game like this would be vague about the date really has nothing to do with.
I don't think they would have mentioned even a year if they didn't feel confident.
I don't think it's confidence. I think what it is we're going to show this, and depending on how people react to it, we are either going to release this fall or we're going to release sometime next year or after that. Because I think we're at a point where, like, look at Cyberpunk. I mean, look at these big failures and these turnarounds, and like obviously there are things people do not want and there are things people do want. Obviously, that cinematic trailer, do not want. And I mean, the whole life of this game has been them pivoting to what people want, or they think people want, right? This started as games as a service. It makes sense that it's an action game now, because a game you play with other people is not what Dragon Age was before. It's maybe what it is now.
But this is confirmed not a games as a service. In fact, they've been very clear about that.
It was born as one, right? It was born as one, and I think a big game like this, like a Fable, like a Perfect Dark, like a whatever, is like, it's a hold your breath moment for the developer, where they put themselves out there and let's see what the people say, because we might need to make some fucking changes. And you know what? A lot of times that's for the better. I think we're in a weird place with this one, but I think what's that?
It didn't do shit for Suicide Squad.
Well,
Suicide Squad got a whole year.
I'm sure it could have been worse, man.
I think the thing we have to think about here is that no matter what BioWare wants, it's up to EA about when they launch this thing.
Sure, of course.
That's true.
And I don't think EA is really in lockstep with what the community wants.
No, but I mean, EA has just as much writing on this as well. I mean, like, they've spent a lot of money. I mean, this game's been in development for a long time. They need this to be a success. Everyone is looking at like what happened with like Cyberpunk and stuff and Redfall. Everyone's terrified of that.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
even Zelda
what
took
is
an
the
extra
definition
year.
of success here in this day and age? Like, because we're seeing studios shut down left and right for games that were successes.
Success these days is dictated by unrealistic executive expectations.
Witcher 3?
Yeah.
I don't know. But so the question is, what was the question? Will I be impressed by what I saw of Dragon Age?
Will you think it looks cool?
Was that the question? That was the question. Will Dragon Age Dreadwolf look cool to Brad? That's the literal question?
Yes.
I don't even think we could say that one way or the other, because he doesn't seem like he's even sure.
Does it look cool? So the cinematic trailer, definitely not. This is looking better. I would have liked to have seen something besides the rogue doing all the flippy flues in battle, like maybe Maybe if I could have seen how a mage works, but it really is just an action game with cooldowns, man. That's not my vibe. I am not happy about what I saw ultimately. I've read 5 Dragon Age books, damn it. I have high expectations for this series. You know, you know what I like? Baldur's Gate 3. This looked like someone who thinks that no one would buy a game like Baldur's Gate 3. That looks like what this is. And you know what? They're fucking wrong because people bought the shit out of Baldur's Gate 3. So they were wrong. Doesn't mean it's going to be bad, but I am the guy who thinks the coolest part about Dragon Age is the fucking tactics menu. So what do you think I think about this? No, I don't think it looks cool. Damn it, I'm mad. I'll probably get over it because I love Dragon Age. But my answer is I don't think it looks cool.
I don't even know if I should say how I feel about
We know how you feel. You've let us know.
No,
if you thought the cinematic trailer looked good, then of course you think this gameplay looks good, damn it. Certainly better than that.
I don't really even have much of an opinion on the actual the actual content of the cinematic trailer. The cinematic trailer did nothing more than show what the new kind of reimagined
Crispy.
art style.
What is the
was
song
for this game?
that in that trailer? We Can Be Heroes? Do you know what song that is?
Oh, the fucking in the cinematic trailer.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like some Imagine Dragons shit. I don't know if it's actually Imagine Dragons, right? But that's just some bullshit song, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
honestly,
Ooh.
the only
I
time
would take Marilyn
I think
Manson.
that's the
over-
worst part.
Maybe not
I think that's the
anymore.
worst part of the trailer. I mean, to be
Remember
honest.
the
Yes,
this
I
is the
remember.
new shit. This is the
Yes.
new shit. I would take that over this. This is the new shit.
Look, I've only watched the cinematic trailer for this game once, and it was during the actual live stream when I could barely even hear the music.
This is how much of a Dragon Age fan you are. I watched it like 20 times.
Yeah, dude, Dragon Age has never been the highest priority for me.
And
I
you know
guess.
what? That's fine. And I'm glad you're happy. But and I've heard this from other people. Like, I don't even really care about Dragon Age, or I didn't play
I care about
Inquisition, but
characters
this
and
one looks
story
pretty
and the
cool.
world.
Like, I don't care about that opinion as much.
And I like the way this game looks.
End of sentence?
I think the visual style of this game is really appealing.
It looks better in gameplay, certainly, than it did in
See,
I mean,
than that cinematic.
literally the
trailer,
only
but
thing I was able to judge on during the actual presentation was the way it looked because I could barely hear
looks
it,
like
and I thought the
fucking
way that
Kingdoms
trailer
of
looked.
Amalur or some shit though.
Oh,
It doesn't.
no,
does
it
it?
doesn't.
Why does it
like-
look like that? It does. It does.
It doesn't
Why
look
does
like
it look
Dragon
that?
Age. It looks like
It-
something else. That's what
Everything's
bothers me.
soft and there's almost like a haze.
So they are
around
in the
everything.
Tevinter Imperium, which is a very different locale, I guess, for Dragon Age. It's like a city run by mages, and all the lighting and stuff is all just magic, and there's colors everywhere and stuff, and it's weird. But
Dude, I think the visual style of this game is giving me vibes of. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of how I felt about the South of Midnight trailer, which we'll talk about here shortly, and the way that game
that's-
looks.
No.
That looks way
Yeah.
cooler
What are
than
you
this.
talking about?
That
I
was
don't know,
way
man.
cooler than this.
This
I like.
looks like this. Yeah, this looks like Kingdoms of Amalur. This looks like a 360 game.
We can
What
move.
are you
oh,
talking about? Oh
not
my god!
360.
Dragon Age,
Let's move
dude.
on.
I don't know, man. It looks
Let's move on.
weird.
Oh man!
It looks different. I think the character models and stuff are growing
I'm
on
already-
me. Like
It
in
looks
these
like you
conversations
started
in
at
the
World of
gameplay.
Warcraft and took a step towards
Fortnite.
well, I was
I
gonna
think
say
y'all
more
are fucking crazy.
realistic grittiness, but
Look up the fucking look up a Kunari from Dragon Age 2 or Iron Bull from Dragon Age 3. You played a little Dragon Age 3, right? They look fucking sick, dude. Look at the Aeroshock from Dragon Age 2. That dude
I think we
was
just have different. I
fucking
think
sick.
whatever.
This is
Let's fucking move on. Let's fucking move on because
We
this
don't
shit's
have
just gonna
to.
go sideways. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I feel like you're playing devil's advocate. You like dark
No,
and
I
gritty,
just-
damn it. You don't like cartoons?
What? Stop using the word cartoon like a fucking slur, man. It's fucking weird. Stop it. Jesus
What am I
Christ.
supposed to call it?
Oh my god.
I think the
Good lord.
podcast should be called the Fortnitification of Dragon Age.
I think you're crazy. Whatever. Fuck,
By
man.
the-
I wish
by
we
the
didn't fucking
coward-
start talking. I
by
wish
the
we did not
coward
start the Summer Game Fest
BioWare.
conversation with this because now I just don't want to talk anymore.
Well,
Oh my
look,
god.
I'm not going to be as invested in these other games, so just
Oh great, good for you. Now I have to like feign
Well,
interest in the rest of
what
this
do you want from me?
conversation. Jesus
Hey,
fucking Christ.
sneak peek. I think Assassin's Creed and Star Wars look fine and dandy, Nick.
Great, wonderful. Because that's okay. Jesus Christ. Oh my god.
I know you're dreading it. Chris
Sometimes
Davis
I
is
just
muted.
like.
You don't like
Sometimes
having
when we record
conversations about
podcasts,
Dragon Age? This is a good
I
podcast.
just want to die at the end of it. Just
Speaking of
Okay.
wanting to die, Summer Games Fest happened, and I slowly want to die inside. Yeah.
okay.
What, Chris Davis? What's bothering you so much?
No, wait, we'll get to what's bothering Chris Davis. I want to go in relative order of operation here, so I can actually keep track of what we've talked about, what we haven't talked
We're
about.
pretty much gonna jump to Xbox, right?
No, well, I mean, here's the thing. There were a couple things that I wanted to bring up from Summer Game Fest. Like, yes, most of what we saw at Summer Game Fest was a fucking snooze fest.
Lego Horizon.
In fact, 95% of it was a fucking snooze fest. But a couple cool things did happen.
Yeah.
Why was Lego Horizon more serious than Dragon Age? No, I'm just kidding.
I fucking hate you.
Is it even is Lego Horizon coming out this year?
I don't think they set a date.
I don't think
No,
they said.
okay.
Okay, so a couple things from. Oh, actually, no. The Lego Horizon said fall 2024.
Okay.
There you go. You think that's a good pickup for Fantasy Creed?
Fuck
be, I
off.
don't No, I'm serious.
Okay, whatever. We got Neva gameplay that from the studio that made Gris,
Not
which
much
looks
to
pretty
see
cool.
there.
Not much to say there, but here's the thing: the things that I would maybe call attention to. Did we have a release date for Metaphor yet, or is that
Yeah,
old
we knew
news?
that was coming out this fall. Yeah.
The big thing for me that I
Looks
wanted to draw attention to from Jeff Keighley's thing was we knew Blumhouse Games was going to be announcing something there. They announced like a whole like slate of horror games from different developers that are coming. And at first I thought I was watching a trailer for like an anthology called Blumhouse Games, but it's not. They're separate projects of varying size and scope from indie developers, AAA developers, and I don't have the list of names in front of me.
There's a project from Sam Barlow and Brandon Cronenberg.
Yes.
Now that
Which is
I'm on board with.
Which
that
is fucking crazy.
I'm on board with.
So because
Brandon Cronenberg of Possessor fame.
Yes.
So the little bit of talk about the Blumhouse thing prior to this thing was that everyone was assuming they were going to come out and be like announce some like here's our Poltergeist video game or whatever, or something based on a licensed
Here's our
movie
VR paranormal activity game. Yeah,
something along those lines.
Cheap.
I don't think anybody was expecting them to come out of the gate
swinging
swinging with like four or five games that were announced in quick succession that all looked like they had wildly different approaches, like visual styles, like. But they're
There's
all
a Stardew Valley
games.
like focused on horror and murder. Like what?
Dude, it's wild, and I was not expecting that. So like that is by far the biggest surprise for me at that show.
Also, Wanderstop.
Wanderstop showed up. We already knew about that, right?
Wanderstop? I don't think so. This is the cutesy town builder from the creator of Stanley Parable. That's maybe not such a cutesy town builder.
Oh,
good trailer. It's a good trailer.
They're definitely cooking. There's something underneath the just under the surface
there is
there.
going
that
to
we're
be
not
a
sure
haven't
about.
seen it, Crispy. Check out Wanderstop.
That's supposedly coming this year too, by the way. So this leaked ahead of time. So it wasn't as impactful, I guess, at the show. But we finally saw Slitterhead in action, and let me tell you, as someone who considers Silent Hill to be one of my favorite games of all time, and this is from the original creator of Silent Hill, and we saw this a few years ago for the first time, and it looked kind of wild, just in terms of like wildly different from Silent Hill in general. I was not really impressed with the way this game looked.
Is it more because it doesn't resemble something like a Silent Hill or Siren?
No,
because I mean the dude also made Gravity Rush.
No, you're right. He did, And I don't think it has anything to do with that. I just think
It looked janky as fuck.
It
and
looked
budget,
janky as
but
fuck.
like it also looked pretty cool.
I mean,
and
it
like
looks out there.
I'd play the shit out of that PS2 game.
It looks out there, and I hate to say this because I don't like saying this because it sounds. I know making video games is hard.
Nick.
Okay. This
He's
looked
about to
like
say
this looked like
Japanese.
it should have released on the PS4 and maybe pretty early in the PS4's life cycle. Like it didn't really look.
You're saying it's ugly,
I'm saying it's kind of ugly.
like Prince of Persia, The
look,
Lost Crown.
a lot of times horror games they go to either end of the spectrum, right? They either go way back and they intentionally aim for like super retro, nostalgic visual styles, or they go really hard on like photorealism, right, to make it super visceral feeling. This felt square in the middle. I don't know. Look.
The
Y'all may have
combat
hated the way
looked janky.
Dragon Age looked. I did not like the way this game looked.
Okay, but
This
is
did
like,
not do it for me.
So you know how some Kickstarter games have like, oh, we kickstarted this game, we made a few $1 million. Also, we got some investors, and they're gonna give us like 20 million more. Here's our fucking video game. This looks like a game that made a couple million on Kickstarter and like not a penny more, and they've been desperately trying to make a video game with that. You know, this does not like I. Look,
I mean,
man,
I
I'm
think the
just
problem
glad
here.
that this
I'm not
company
saying the
made a
game's gonna be
fucking
bad
video
either.
game because it's hard out there, and like at least it looks weird and different. Because if this just looked like a bad budget Silent Hill, I would say, well, that's completely uninteresting. This looks at least weird and different, and even if it is sort of
I'm
a
not trying to
spiritual
say it
successor
doesn't.
to Parasite Eve's The Third Birthday in some weird ways.
I mean, I think the thing is,
here for
at
it.
least from my perspective, is that I understood and both didn't understand what was going on the entire time.
I mean, the main mechanic seems to be you're like jumping between
Jump.
people,
Like you're
and
possessing
taking over
people
their
like
bo-
something out of Geist from the GameCube, and you're using those to hunt down monsters in the environment. But
It's
at
like
the same
Third
time,
Birthday.
like I don't know. I
never
just don't
played Third
quite
Birthday.
understand what the game played.
Third Birthday, you
It's
jump
pointing
from
to
like to fucking random people in mid combat.
Brad, we don't talk about the Third Birthday.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like,
I'm
as
not
someone
trying to-
I saw Slitterhead announce, and I was like, well, that is a video game I never have to pay attention to, because who gives a shit? They're making some bad horror game, great, on a budget. At least this looks weird and different. And I mean, the main thing is that the combat like animations and stuff look like shit, but like I'm glad that this is like fucking weird and bonkers, because otherwise it would
I'm
have been
not
completely boring,
saying-
and I don't think we'd be talking about it.
I'm not saying I'm like not going to give it a shot or anything like that. Again, this is from the original creator, one of my favorite games of all time. Just something
You can say
like
it
I was
looks visually like shit, because
I said it. I've
you're
said
not-
it several
you're not
times. I
wrong.
think it
You're
looks like shit.
embracing this new these graphics. These poor people graphics are bad.
look,
I get
look.
it. Embrace the hate.
God.
I
Look,
just
I'm
think
with
that
you.
like we need a better explanation about what this game is, and I think
You
that
say
will
that like,
We're
like-
gonna-
but
we're
like
gonna-
that stuff's out there, dude. I'm telling you, you can't say that when that information exists. You just have to look for
okay.
it.
There are
please-
interviews and
Please
stuff.
tell me what it is, because I don't understand.
Do the research.
Look, listen. We're getting
It's out there.
We're
There's long
moving on.
previews.
We're moving on. The point is, as a big fan of the original creator of Silent Hill, I was underwhelmed by this, and that's kind of a disappointment, because before this, when I heard it was going to be there, I was like, "Ooh, that's a reason to watch the Summer Game Fest presentation for me." So I was kind of bummed to walk out the other side and be like, "Eh."
And I'm the opposite, actually.
Sure. Alan Wake 2 got a physical edition and Night Springs DLC, which I was going to play last night, and I didn't. So I didn't.
All right, let's get
publish.
to Xbox.
Hang on. There's some things
give
I
me
want to
some.
mention here. Civ 7, we got the formal announcement of that, which is the big
Sure.
Take-Two thing that was not Borderlands or BioShock.
Yeah.
We made it all the way through this, and we didn't get Borderlands 4. I just realized that. People seem so sure Borderlands 4 is going to be at.
Because it was leaked. Because we know it's coming. It's fine. Doesn't mean it was ready for here, but
I guess.
Gearbox,
was
I
obviously a
assume that
big deal,
Gearbox,
so-
since they have a new owner, are probably going to do a dedicated event
Yeah.
probably this fall.
Civ 7. That's a top fantasy critic pick next year. Let's.
Yeah, well,
else
it
you
was
got?
a Fantasy Critic pick for me this year, so I need to drop it now. We
What?
also got the next
You
game.
you
from,
drafted he drafted Civ?
Did he?
I think so.
Is that on your
Well,
list?
I know I did at least one of my leagues. So
This is the second time I'm reminded that Chris Davis is
Oh.
cheating on us and playing other fantasy critic leagues.
I'm sorry
Okay,
for
yeah, I
wanting
remember
to
this
play with
conversation.
other friends. I have more friends than
How
y'all.
dare you?
It's like a man buying multiple lottery tickets hoping to get a win.
He
when
does not have Civ on his list for us.
Okay,
He
that's
is
one
talking
of my
about
other
one of
leagues
his
then.
side pieces.
Yeah, my side
Alright,
pieces. We got the next game from the developers of Fury. It's called Cairn, and it's about a very angry person yelling and climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for
Xbox.
that. I don't know what that game really is other than climbing, but it looks good.
It looked like it
There's
might be a
3
slightly
games
more
from Day of
competent
the Devs I
Jusant.
want to talk about next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
And
we got a
Kunitsu
new
got a
Hyperlight
release
Drifter.
date.
Drifter.
Kunitsugami got a release date of July 19th, and that's way sooner than I was expecting. So
Yes.
that-
And
that's
evidently
pretty cool.
previews dropped today, and they seem to be pretty positive.
Nice.
Cool.
All right,
Cool.
let's talk
That's
about
good.
Xbox. Xbox. I think
Boom.
most people would agree. I mean, here's the thing. It was a weird thing because obviously, Phil Spencer came out at the beginning, and everyone was like, "Boo, boo, this man."
What did he
As they
say?
should
Did
be.
he say anything?
That was like the first topic of conversation was that like he said something about the state of the industry and it lasted all of about 10 seconds and then he moved on, which felt just more like he said something about it out of like a sense of obligation.
They're just as useless as Kiwi.
It was pretty useless. Oh no, actually, you're right. I'm thinking of Jeff Keighley. He
You're
came
thinking
out
of
and said
Keighley.
something.
Spencer said anything.
Yeah, I don't
Keeley's
think,
thing was completely toothless. Like
Phil-
Spencer didn't say a damn thing. He was a hype man for his own show.
well, here's the thing. Phil Spencer did several interviews, I think with IGN after this during Summer Game, during like the Play Days thing, and he addressed the whole state of the industry thing. And it basically came down to like, we have to make tough decisions. I hate to do it, but we have to make tough decisions to keep the business healthy and stuff.
Whatever.
And
At least he's
It
full
was- it
mask
was-
off now. Like, he's not
it was
pretending to be
bullshit.
like a cool guy like one of us. Just be your
But-
dumb fucking executive self and shut the fuck
Right.
up.
But then he stopped talking. We didn't see him again for most of the show, I don't think. And
Good.
Xbox did what they've done, and the reason why I think Xbox has actually had some of the best showcases, historically speaking, for the past 5 or 6 years, is because at some point they started literally just doing away with the talking heads and doing like game after game after game after game.
Yeah,
And
they just have
and-
big games and they have big third party games and they don't
they
have
had
to
a
have
lot
all this gross advertising shit to pay
Right.
for their show like Jeff
They
Keighley
had a-
does. So
They had a lot to prove this year, and of course, the linchpin of their whole showcase was obviously Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I didn't really stick around to watch that, but apparently, I don't know, whatever. That's neither here nor there. I'm gonna play it because it's on Game Pass day one, which is a big deal, and I can finally play the campaign without having to spend any more money than I would have anyways. So that's kind of interesting. But just running through some of the highlights here, of which there are probably a lot. Doom Dark Ages, which we kind of knew existed, it was confirmed.
did it just
and-
kind of look like more Doom? I mean, I like the part where he was riding the dragon.
Dude, I don't go back and watch that trailer. I mean, we watched
do
it
need
for
to
trailer
watch it
talks
again.
tonight,
Yeah.
but I think that first of all, I would not go as far as to say that was melee focused, like Chris Davis.
No,
No,
it
prediction
wasn't.
seemed to be.
No, but like
But-
they added a fucking parry system. That sounds awesome.
It has a parry system. It has he has a shield that he carries around. He has some really cool kind of like.
The weapons are
I'm not-
fucking absurd. There is a weapon that chews up skulls and shoots the bits at enemies. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And then there's shots of him like isn't there like a giant mech at some point?
Yeah.
And-
he fights a
and he's-
fucking demon titan. Like, yes,
And
give me that.
And then of
There's a
course there's a
dragon.
shot of him flying around on a dragon, which
That's cool. I want to see more of that.
that
Well,
trailer
hey.
looked hype as hell.
If you would have played
Later?
Ancient Gods Part 2, you would have seen this coming.
Oh God, don't bring up the Ancient Gods meme again.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming out 2025. That looks pretty cool. State of Decay 3 finally was shown, but it was mostly
No, it was only cinematic. Boo!
it was
What the fuck, dude?
Listen. Yes, it was only cinematic, but there's a difference because the original trailer we got was like completely pre-rendered CG cinematic,
Yeah.
and now we got an in-engine cinematic trailer.
Oh, whatever, dude.
Whatever.
It's been quiet for so long. You don't come back with a cinematic trailer.
And they didn't even
Like,
mention a year, so
they
I'm
don't
gonna
even
guess
know what that game
2026.
is.
But hey, it reminded me that I like State of Decay.
Perfect
and
Dark.
Yeah.
Let's hop the big.
Wait, dude,
things.
can I just? Oh my god.
Go ahead?
Brad, you got to hold your
I'm just-
horses, Brad. Let him run the show.
I'm just trying to get through this list and keep track of what we've actually covered. And I'm not even gonna. I'm just gonna skip over the things that you probably.
I'm saying we don't need to mention a State of Decay cinematic. Who gives a shit? There's big stuff here.
There's some big stuff. There's even some new IP. Expedition 33 looks really cool. I don't really know what I can say about it other than
It did look pretty cool. We were gonna have it in trailer talk, but we never got to it.
Which, of
I
course, I'm sure will
love
show
the
up.
idea of it. Like, it's a whole quest to kill this immortal witch that every year lowers the number in a countdown, and when that happens, everyone at that age or older dies in the world.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I am more
fucked
like
up.
interested in the fact that it's like has like weird JRPG looking combat. It kind of looks like a Lost Odyssey game or something. It's weird.
Yeah.
It has
I
like
don't know.
turn-based combat.
I don't know
But
what
it's
it
like
is, but I am.
Which is
very
rare. But yeah, that as far as new IP goes, that was pretty impressive. I don't remember who the studio was, but it looked pretty impressive. And then we got our first look at South of Midnight, which also showed up in trailer talk this evening. South of Midnight. This is the next game from Compulsion Games, and it was announced last year. It was like the kind of the New Orleans like folklore type thing, but we finally got like a good look at the gameplay.
Which is like action adventure
In kind of an open environment, and she's like traversing with like flying. Like she looks like she has like a. It looks like it controls like a wingsuit or something that she can control. Like she can just jump into the air and use it and like gain altitude and stuff.
Beyond Good and Evil scoped, you know.
I think that's kind of what I think that seems to be kind of the scale of.
I get those vibes from the combat. Obviously, I think she's fighting with like a staff kind of thing, like just like Jade, but. You know, that catfish seems cool.
Yeah.
I like the look of the game. I hope
the creatures that show up in that little, so the catfish and then the giant alligator, like man, and we mentioned this earlier during trailer talk. It has this really cool effect that most people probably associate these days with across or into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, kind of like where they pull out frames, so it's so it has this kind of like very subtle stop motion kind of vibe to it. They use that on the main character, and it's a pretty impressive effect. I don't know. We talked about Compulsion Games doesn't have a great track record.
Terrible track record.
Terrible track record, in fact. But I think this looks really impressive from a technical standpoint, from a design, just kind of general vision. I think it looks pretty great.
That was good.
Super excited. I hope it's good. That's coming out in 2025.
We're in Louisiana land.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid Delta. Metal Gear Solid Delta showed back up where we actually got a really good look at.
Yeah, that's like a nice
gameplay.
visual overhaul. I mean, I don't know how. Is it? This is like a Blue Point situation where they're just like completely redoing the visuals, but the bones are still kind of MGS3.
Basically, yes.
I think so, yeah.
They're not
I'm
doing
down
any
for that,
mocap.
man.
They're using all the original audio, but they're bringing back in the actors for like very specific situations, like tutorial dialogue and stuff that would not translate to modern consoles. They're fixing a lot of the bugs that were left over from Blue Point.
Are you going to be in menus less?
Supposedly, yes. Like
if they don't do like essential quality of life for this game, then this whole project was a fucking waste. Because the thing that drags down Metal Gear Solid 3 is like, oh, I got shot by a bullet into my menu to like do all the first aid and stuff, and then like, oh, I got shot by a bullet. Oh, let me go back into my menu to do all the first aid and stuff. Oh, I need to change my camouflage. Back into the menu to change my camouflage. Oh, I'm in grass now. Let's go back into the menu to change my camouflage again. They need to do a lot of quality of life.
They didn't specifically talk about menuing stuff, but they did say that like the whole medic system has gotten an overhaul, and whatever
if they're overhauling systems, then
what
overhauling.
Happens to Snake in the game is reflected on the character throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, but I don't care about visual shit. I'm saying like that game needs to be much better to play, because play wise, I think that one holds up maybe like one of the least of all the Metal Gear Solid games. Even
Well,
though
I
there's
mean,
cool bosses and
like
shit.
there's two different camera systems here. They have. It looks like they're adopting a lot of the mechanics of 5 as far as like movement goes and like
Okay.
sneaking stuff. I
That's a
mean,
good-
And if that's the case, I feel like it might be kind of difficult to
Yeah.
leave the game, like to leave the bones exactly the same, because those environments
Yeah.
aren't the biggest. And if you were going to be
No,
no,
much
they're
more
not.
mobile,
They're absolutely not. But you could have like the combat rolls. You could do enhancements to the CQC, things like that. I mean, they're being very coy about talking about the upgrades and new features. They're really just more playing that they're trying to do a faithful recreation.
right? All right,
Like all the cinematics are shot for shot matching.
So there's also some rumors about it maybe dropping on November 17th, but that's unconfirmed and at some point saying
Yeah,
it's
see,
flat out
again,
false.
I doubt it. I doubt this.
Like that's like 2 days or something from like right around Assassin's Creed time, and it's November is already going to be pretty crowded.
This is
I don't
one
know.
project that I don't think they need to rush out at all, man. Take your
No, I don't
fucking
know.
time, Konami,
Yeah.
because no one wants a shoddy Metal Gear project at this point. Don't
Yeah,
fuck
so
Okay.
so November 17th specifically, that
It was
was
the 20th anniversary.
announced by GameStop. And that's the 20th anniversary date of the launch of the original Snake Eater. So it's
huge
probably more a
grain of salt
speculation
there.
thing. But that being said, like they did retract that later on, but you put all your pre-orders live yesterday. A lot of pre-orders for games don't launch until like 6 to 8 months before a game comes out. So it's theoretically possible it could come out November 17th. I'm not putting money on it. Even though I
Remember when they
money
opened
on
up pre-orders
game.
for Jedi Fallen Order before people even knew what kind of game it was?
Not surprising. Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because we're trying to hit the highlights. Perfect Dark reemerged in a
Yes.
big way. They showed a lot of gameplay, kind of give you a taste of what the game looks like. I didn't even realize it takes place in Egypt, but it does. I think it looks very cool. It actually looks like it has
How
a lot
much
in
of y'all
common with like
watched
Deus
through
Ex.
it?
Well, it's
So
it's,
like it immediately looks like a Deus Ex, which is what makes it exciting. But like, have y'all combed through it? Like, does it look like a good video game beyond that?
I mean, here's the thing. It's a gameplay trailer that is like bouncing around a lot and showing obviously pretty scripted moments, or not scripted, but like they've set up a lot of these scenarios to look really cool, right? We have yet to see like a vertical slice where it's like just watch somebody play the game. So I feel like it's
Yeah.
impossible to answer that question. What we can say is it looks like it's drawing inspiration from Deus Ex, Dishonored. It has some parkour, kind of like Mirror's Edge stuff going on there. It has lots of gadgets, which is obviously in line with like classic Perfect Dark, which looks really cool.
it
they're
has
gonna
a
be
sheen
aliens.
of being an immersive sim. That is
Yeah.
very enticing. to
Did you
think
ask
about.
them if there's gonna be aliens? I don't fucking know. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
like
I mean,
Perfect
this
I
is
will
supposed
say
to be like
this.
a reboot.
I did not expect Perfect Dark to show up because there's obviously been rumors about it being in having some trouble, and that may still be the case or may not be. I don't know. But like as far as highlights of this show in general goes, that was mine. Perfect Dark I thought looked way more interesting than I ever would have expected. So thumbs up on that.
Yes.
But I am looking forward to seeing more about it, and I don't even think they said specified a year release date. At least
No,
I
there
didn't
is
write
no
it
date.
down here. So it's probably gonna be a while before we see that again. Fable finally got a look at some gameplay of Fable, even though again, kind of like Perfect Dark, it was chopped up and spliced in between, other things.
Yeah.
But that's coming next year, and the little bit of gameplay we did see, there's one moment in the Fable trailer where it's like the character walks up to someone in like a town and starts talking to him, and you can hear that very like Fable-esque music playing in the background, and I was like, and I just felt the nostalgia just kick in, and I was like, I think it got me.
Yeah.
I think it got me. It looked very Fable, and I was like, I'm here for it.
Also, this game is getting support from Eidos Montreal.
That is true.
That is
Well,
very interesting. Why?
It's a support studio, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like
I mean,
what are you?
So many AAA games have support
Well,
studios.
the real news there is it's a shame that Eidos Montreal has become a support studio.
Well, I think what's interesting is that they're they're surviving right now is the thing that concerns me after Deus Ex got canceled. So like seeing them contributing, like the story work that they put into their Deus Ex games, I think is great. And I think they've got things that they can contribute that would make this Fable game even better.
I kind of wish they were a support studio on Perfect Dark, to be honest.
I thought that's what we thought we were. I thought that's what we were talking
that would
about.
make more sense.
No, we're talking about Fable.
I mean,
That would
I feel
definitely
like
make more sense.
thematically speaking, yes, I appreciate the idea of Eidos Montreal contributing towards Perfect Dark. That being said, like their Deus Ex games, combat was not the best part of that game.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a Perfect Dark. Hey, so Fable.
Right.
I still get like this vibe, like we're seeing a lot of smoke and mirrors. I just want to see this video game being played by a human for 20 minutes.
Right.
I want the Dragon Age moment for this game.
You will, but they're obviously not ready for that yet. Here's the thing: we have now seen some gameplay in motion, and we have a release window. So the next logical step is the next time this game reappears, which might even be something like Game Awards or something. We'll see like an actual
of Fable a year
slice.
prior to this, though.
You're right. I mean, this could very well be like a November, December release next year. So there's probably still a long ways to go before we actually see a vertical slice demo of this game. I want to highlight one game just real quick. Mixtape was announced, which looks like this like really cool kind of like it almost looks Life is Strange-esque, like 80s.
It had a good trailer.
It had such a cool vibe and a cool trailer. I'd highly recommend checking that out. Life is Strange got a new sequel, Double Exposure, with the return of Max from the original Life is Strange.
I mean, it's not just a sequel; it's a direct sequel. Like
it's a direct sequel to the original Life is Strange, starring Max, which looks
I feel like
pretty
I'm more
cool.
excited for that Don't Nod Life is Strange game that they're working on. Is that also coming soon?
I don't remember which one that is. I've kind of lost track though.
Don't Nod is making a Life is Strange game. Not
is it an actual Life is Strange or a Life is Strange?
No. They don't. They basically don't make Life is Strange anymore. So they're kind of making their own IP. That's basically
Lost Records. That's what it was.
Lost Records.
Lost Records.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more excited for Lost Records than this because I mean, Max.
But hey, Deck 9 did a fantastic job with True Colors, the last Life is Strange game.
It was fine.
Oh, dude, it was great. It was great.
I think Don't Nod does a real good job.
We're talking about Deck 9.
Sorry, Deck 9. I mean, I think they both do good jobs, but I think Deck 9 does a real good job.
Whatever. That's coming out in October.
Are you saying Deck 9's dad is better than Don't Nod's dad?
Yeah, something like that.
Are you saying Deck 9's dad could beat up Don't Nod's dad?
We got a really long trailer for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Yeah, that was
no release date yet.
That's not
no release date.
That wasn't even a trailer. That was just a cut gameplay, really.
Yeah, it was like a long cutscene followed by some gameplay and some whatever. But
at the same time, like I think they had to kind of do that because they kind of had to establish the kind of.
It's weird though.
Characters going on and all that.
It's weird though. We
That's
saw
like
Indiana Jones.
Dragon Age kind of had to do a bad cinematic trailer. They didn't kind of have to do anything. They did it, and it didn't land.
We saw Indiana Jones, and we saw Avowed, both games that are slated for 2024.
Yep.
No release date. And I'm just like, what?
That is weird. See, so again, Avowed, no release date. I feel like that absolutely has the potential to not come out. But you know what? They did. I did watch a deep dive today. That's again another 20-minute thing. Like, personally, I'm excited to play Avowed. I mean, I think it looks cool.
I think it could surprise for sure.
The combat definitely did look better in this
Obsidian.
new trailer.
I feel like.
Is Obsidian still making Outer Worlds 2? I feel like that game was announced and then just.
That was announced 4 years ago.
Yeah, Obsidian, they work on multiple projects. I mean, they ship games, man. You don't never have to worry about Obsidian. They ship games. They ship good games.
They do.
My question for y'all is, I mean, the thing that I think cool people on Avowed is when they heard it was like more the scope of something like the first Outer Worlds. Where are y'all all played Outer Worlds?
I played about 10 hours of Outer Worlds and then fell off it.
I bounced off it as well, yeah.
Same.
Which is
So-
a shame because that's about 50% of the game.
Do y'all think it's because Fallout's lame, or do you think it's because Obsidian made a bad game?
Definitely
Okay.
don't think Fallout's lame.
I think the gameplay was fine. I wasn't a fan of like the tone and what they were going with the excessive corporate capitalism bullshit.
But do you think the world and the lore and all that stuff just was kind of holding it back? Because the thing is, Avowed is set in the
Yeah.
Pillars of Eternity universe, and like that's a cool world with like cool, like I like those games, and so I think Avowed is already kind of has like a big advantage going in. So if they just kind of nail the feel of the game, the loop of the game, like if it's just a fun RPG, like I think we don't have to worry about the other stuff. And we know
That's true.
Obsidian's good at telling a good story and
I'm not
cool
particularly worried about
characters.
Avowed. I just want to know when it's coming out. Couple more quick things. This is a surprise for me. Rebellion's new game was announced called Atomfall, which I think
Rebellion,
looks
the
really
developers of the fucking Sniper Elite franchise.
Yeah, it looks. I don't know. It looks really neat. I don't know what else to say other than it looks kind of like a.
It's legally distinct
green-
British Fallout.
Legally, sure. I guess that's one way of putting it. But it's like a very lush green Fallout. Like it's not like. It's like post-apocalyptic, but like post-apocalyptic where like nature is taken back over and there's lots of greenery and lots of weird robots and stuff. I don't know. It looks really cool.
We know nothing about it.
We know nothing about it, but
we
keeping
didn't
an eye
see
on that
the
one.
In Exile game.
We didn't. No. We also didn't see
The fucking Clockwork
Clockwork
Kingdom or
Revolution.
whatever.
Yeah.
Clockwork Revolution. That's a little concerning.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, which we know is coming September 5th. We got another look. That game continues to look pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And they closed the show with Gears of War E-Day, which is a
Prequel.
prequel going back. You're
Cinematic.
playing as a young Marcus Phoenix and a young Dom, I believe, right? And it's supposed to take place on Emergence Day, which, as far as I'm not a huge Gears person, but I know enough about the lore to know that Emergence Day obviously is a pretty important thing, and we've never really gotten to play anything in that. So it'd be kind of like getting a Last of Us sequel that takes place on Outbreak Day, and
that's
that has
cool, but
always
they-
seemed
they
really cool.
They still need to convince us why we all want to play another Gears of War game outside
That is
of
true.
the story. Because
You,
that
you
is
say
true.
that, and yet I spent my weekend playing Gears 3.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, some of us
you're
are more
also-
Gears pilled than others, but I'm just saying,
Pilled.
is this going to be a more ambitious project than just another Gears of War
The
game?
thing that caught my attention about it is they've basically said that there's a stronger emphasis on horror, which they haven't done since the original.
Yeah,
and
they're pitching the
About
Locust
these
to be like.
fucking Gears.
They're
I feel like
pitching
we've
the
been
Locust to
hearing
be
about
like
this quote unquote
monsters.
horror Gears game moment for decades now. Come on.
I'm just saying
Come
that's
on.
what
We
caught my
have,
attention.
though.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Here's the thing. I think anything that takes place on that kind of big day, right? That has the potential to be
Chaos,
pretty
though.
scary.
It's not horror. It's like
No, but just being on the ground
Not
in the
cool.
midst of something like that happening in the moment sounds like it could be really cool and potentially really scary. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Like that final shot of the trailer with the cityscape, and you see all the Locust monsters crawling over the buildings and stuff like that. Like hearing people scream, it was kind of a scary moment.
hey, Phil Spencer, where were all the Japanese games?
Oh shit! Maybe that's
Who
why
are
I
you
like this
talking to?
showcase so much. Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
we need to pick up the pace.
Kinda.
Brad, I know you
there
wanted
was
to mention,
there was Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers.
I'm trying to keep the pace moving.
That's Chinese developed.
Oh.
Day of the Devs. Did say you had a couple things you wanted to mention there.
No, I was kidding.
Oh,
When we were getting into the nitty gritty. I was
Oh.
I was kidding.
well,
I
damn.
want to
Okay,
just hit the big shit.
so Ubisoft, like you said, luckily not a lot to cover there in terms of announcements. They re-revealed Sands of Time's remake, which basically is just saying it's coming in
That
2026.
wasn't a fucking re-reveal. That was a title announcement.
No. Look. When I say re-reveal, I more mean it's like, hey, this game is still coming. You can now expect it in 2026, which is basically just saying, yes, we went back to the drawing board. It's being developed by it's practically being developed by a different studio, I think, at this point. So
I think
it's
it was
like
Ubisoft
still coming.
Montreal
My-
that took it in. Yeah.
I
It was-
deserve
it-
my yearly apology from Krispy for shaming me when I was down on Beyond Good and Evil 2 after that unveiling many years ago. Crispy,
I don't even think Crispy's listening.
I am listening. I'm not apologizing for that.
fuck you.
That,
So
that
look-
shit, I stand by what I said. It looked cool at the time. It looked cool at the
I'm
time.
talking
It
about
looks
when I
cool,
said
even
this
if
is
it
a
wasn't.
fake video game and this is never coming out, and y'all shamed me.
Well, we maybe it's because we wanted you to be wrong.
Fair.
Listen,
Disagreed.
Ubisoft
Disagreed with.
of all the showcases, Ubisoft is always the one that's felt like the big commercial, and they almost always focus on things that we know about already. So yes, Chris Davis, you did not get a Splinter Cell announcement. I think you were insane to even expect it.
No, I don't. A game that was announced 3 years ago, I don't think that's unrealistic.
I think if Splinter Cell is going to show up again, you would have seen it at the Xbox conference.
I mean, that would have been
I
great
think
too.
that's
but
probably true.
they could have done like what they did for Sands of Time. Like they could have just done that with fucking Splinter Cell. They could have done that.
I mean,
and I would be
You just want
satisfied.
to see a sign of life, a proof of life, or whatever.
yes,
Yes,
proof of life.
Hold
show
up
up a
Sam
newspaper
Fisher-
with
a
today's
picture of
date
Sam
on it to the
Fisher.
camera. Yeah, show proof of life is exactly what I need.
Well, there was no Splinter Cell proof of life. In fact, going into this, the big thing
Jade
we were
didn't
really
get
expecting
proof of
was
life either, so.
a deep dive into the Star Wars Outlaws and a deep dive into Assassin's Creed Shadows, showing the first gameplay of that, which they delivered. I don't know how much I want to say about this. Both of these games are pretty high on my most anticipated list, but I know Ubisoft has a reputation, and not everybody is.
Yeah, but I mean,
on
like,
board.
look, we're not all Dano, Nick. You know, we're fine. So
I don't know. I mean,
I
but
just-
like,
I feel like most of us are fine. I watch both those and be like, you know,
Star
I'll
Wars
play both of these
Outlaws-
if they get good reviews.
Crispy, you said you were going to say something about Star Wars Outlaws a long time ago. Do you remember what you were going to say? Because now's your moment.
Of course I do.
Okay.
You can fly the ship
You can fly the ship.
and land it on planets.
Yeah.
You can do the
You-
thing you can't
you
do
select
in
a landing-
Starfield.
You son of a bitch! You select a landing point
can
and the game
fly the
autopilots you through a
ship.
cloud
You don't
loading
know
screen.
that. You were like,
No, I
flying
do know
around.
that. I do know that because I listened to a
Flying
preview of someone who was there. You select a landing point and cloud masks the loading. Don't give me
Well,
that
of
bullshit.
course.
It ain't No Man's Sky.
Can we acknowledge for a
Fine.
second that we as a society are just are truly lost? Like we are so spoiled, and like we're like choosing, like we're upset because you can't fly a spaceship down onto an actual planet. and,
Yeah,
like,
and,
just
I'm
get
saying,
anywhere
yeah,
you
what
want.
that's
he's
a
saying,
what
it
a
is.
weird thing to want in a space adventure game. Like,
No,
specifically
I
about
think,
going to alien planets. Like,
I think that would be wonderful, but this ain't it. This is some heavy smoke and mirrors,
No.
dog.
even if it is though, it like the interface they presented.
The planet got
Look better than
so
Starfield.
blurry as they got
better than
close. Did you
Starfield.
notice that? It got so fucking blurry. I'm
Okay,
like, what are
fine.
you-
It got
what
blurry.
trick-
Sure.
What trick are you
Planets are
pulling here?
huge. Nobody knows how big planets are. They're massive, and of course,
It's fine,
there's a
whatever.
bit of a force perspective, and sure, yeah. But you fly the ship, you hit a button, you go into hyperspace, you land on a planet, and it just
But when you get out of your ship on that planet, it's open world and lots of stuff to do. I love the
Yeah,
characters.
it's
I love the
like-
vibe, just the fucking being in that universe, being able to walk around and explore
open
that
world
universe
Star
freely.
Wars, and you're just
Looks
flying around
fucking-
a different planet. Like, that's
Sure,
great.
yeah. I mean,
Like so many Star Wars projects, the sound effects and music are going to do so much heavy lifting, and that's
Sure.
fine.
yeah.
That's fine.
But also, here's
Oh.
what I really liked about what they showed is that they were talking about like the way you learn abilities in this game is that you're actually seeking out characters who have like storylines and quests that are like you are seeking them out because you want them to teach you things that will help you on your heist, because the whole thing is about putting together this heist. So like your abilities are tied to seeking these people out, these elusive people out on all over the galaxy, and having them teach you things that will be beneficial to you trying to pull off this heist, which just seems like a really cool kind of organic way of it's like a Metroidvania where the things that you learn come from actual characters, and where there's like story that you have to delve into, and like everything kind of ties together. I think that is really neat.
I hope it's
The
cool. I mean,
Empire.
I think I'm higher on this than I think I was on Assassin's Creed.
Sure.
I
mean,
I feel like Assassin's Creed, man, they finally did the thing we wanted, and it feels a little bit like
10 years too
I
late.
feel like we've been here before. You should have done this maybe like 8 years ago, but
Yeah.
you know.
But to be honest, like I'm still kind of reeling from how much I love Jedi Survivor, and I think we're kind of in a really great space right now in terms of like Star Wars content. Like there's a lot of interesting stuff between like Andor and the Acolyte, which is happening right now.
But
and just all
you're
kinds
also
of,
like
I'm just
also like those are all creating like high bars for you. I could see this not
sure.
kind of nailing
I mean,
it as much
anything
as
could
maybe
happen.
Survivor did for you, right?
Anything
I
could
mean-
happen, but like I am a person who likes open world games a lot, and
Except Rise of
an
the Republic.
open world Star Wars game sounds like something I've wanted for a very long time, and it just happens to come along at a time when I'm feeling very good about kind of the state of Star Wars.
Okay,
So-
so
How
here,
would you feel about an open world samurai game made by a non-Japanese developer?
Pretty good, pretty
Sign
fucking
me
good.
up.
I mean, so
Sign me up.
here's my thing about Outlaws is that I trust Massive. I love this developer. I love what they've worked on. My problem is that I've also played Massive games, and their
Have you ever
open world
played World in
content
Conflict?
has. Brad, shut the fuck up. My problem with their open world content is that a lot of it does kind of feel like bloat. I did not play the Avatar game, so I cannot speak to what that was like.
You're talking about
the
The
only thing I know
Division.
is that it was a Far Cry like experience. But I need to know like what the side content in this game is. But more
But I feel
importantly,
like you probably would say that about a lot of Ubisoft open world games.
yeah,
No,
but like
no. But if he's talking about The Division, that's a very different style of game than what this is.
it absolutely is.
That game is designed around service, games as a service. Like bloat was built into the design. I feel like this is a different kind of project.
Here's the thing, like what Brad said about the music and the sounds and like kind of just the audio visual experience of being in the Star Wars universe is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting here. And from what I can tell, just kind of existing and exploring this universe is sounds fantastic to me. I hope the writing is up to the challenge. Like I hope it's up to par or up to snuff, you know what I mean? But
I mean, I see that from your perspective, Nick. But right now, I'm Star Wars'd out. I've had a lot of Star Wars. Nothing is grabbing me these days.
I mean,
I'm not
I'm
excited.
definitely not
it
in
makes
that
sense
boat,
though, right?
so.
I mean, like we did just. I feel like we just got Jedi Survivor. I feel like this would have popped a little bit more if it was like 2 years from now. You know, and there is obviously. If y'all watch these shows and movies,
I don't want to get into that debate. Oh, look, I'm at a point back. I'm back reading Star Wars books again, which I haven't been in over a decade. You know what I mean? Like
crazy.
I'm at a good spot right now when it comes to Star Wars. I think a lot of people are. There's a lot of stuff to be excited about.
What books are you reading?
I just finished reading I say just a couple months ago. I finished reading the first High Republic book. Whose name I can't remember off the top of my head.
Beacon or
Yeah. Which I thought was really good. And that directly tied into Jedi Survivor in a lot of ways, which was pretty cool. But my point is, everybody's experience with Star Wars is different. I think this is just, as far as Star Wars games go, this is pretty ambitious. It looks exciting. I think as a fan of open world games, this is kind of a dream come true because I've never really gotten that Star Wars. I've never really gotten Star Wars in my open world games. This seems pretty awesome. I hope.
Wait, what about Jedi Survivor?
Is it?
I don't think it's the same thing. Jedi Survivor is open, but
Game
not.
of the year.
Dude, it is my game of the year. Believe me, I know this. But like,
yeah, but it's open like a Souls game.
It's open. Yeah, it's open more like a Souls game.
Oh,
It's
so
open more
better.
like a big Metroidvania type thing. I think this is going more for like open like a Red Dead, like where like when you go to a planet, it's just like miles and miles and miles of like landscape to explore and things to find on those planets.
I'm not.
That's what I mean. But anyways, that's coming
there's
out.
a reason why
in
she has a
August.
speeder bike, right?
She has a speeder bike. Yeah, you
True.
definitely don't have that kind. I mean, you can ride things in Jedi Survivor, but it's mostly.
I hope
to
it's
take
more
you-
Assassin's Creed than, like he was saying, like the Division or whatever the fuck, because Assassin's Creed has enough like shit to fill out those spaces, right? You know,
It
right?
does.
That
I
sounds
mean,
good.
Mhm.
I mean,
it's
the
like
thing
a-
about
If it's like
the most
Mirage
praise you
Assassin's
hear
Creed,
for modern Assassin's Creed is like stuff like side quests and side characters and stuff. So if they can fill out a big ass Star Wars game with that level of quality, then that'll be
There's a lot of source material to
nice.
pull
Are we
from.
assuming this is more towards Assassin's Creed quality than something like Avatar? We're not going to end up in a situation where
I would
this
say
is more
so,
Avatar,
but
right?
Avatar was also developed by.
I don't know,
Massive.
but that gameplay trailer was like her riding out into Tatooine and then doing a Far Cry base. Like,
True. Yeah, I mean,
know?
that's a good skin. That skin is more exciting than, honestly, at this point, another samurai setting game. I feel like it's crazy to me, but to me, the thing that's the biggest bummer about this new Assassin's Creed game is the setting.
That
honestly.
is, I mean, that is interesting,
wild.
and I may have felt. I feel like I would have felt the same way about it a while ago, but I feel like I'm coming around on the idea
Just
a lot
because
more.
they've been in really cool settings, and this one we've seen so much lately.
True. Look,
I mean, just lately though, like for a lot of the past 20 years, we haven't gotten a whole lot of that.
you know what made
Yeah.
me happy watching the Assassin's Creed Shadows gameplay was, well, a couple things. I've heard this world described as kind of more akin to the size of like Assassin's Creed Origins, which I think which was, of the three they've done so far between Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, it was the smallest one, but it also felt plenty large, with lots of stuff to do and some really cool stuff to find. I think it's a really great goal to aim for as far as scale and scope of the world. And even though this is the last of the RPG style Assassin's Creed games, I couldn't really tell based on watching the gameplay, because it seemed much more kind of like an action game, very much akin to like Ghost of Tsushima, where it was like, I wasn't seeing damage numbers or health bars or whatever, and she wasn't constantly running up against enemies that took more than one hit
There
to
were
kill.
What I saw from the young lady, to me, was much more appealing than what I saw from Samurai Man.
Well, Samurai Man is definitely more of like a tank, like a bruiser, like he's
yeah,
doing,
he
like,
was
really
just kind of walking up to dudes and just swinging away, and I feel like that stuff. And again, I've been playing Rise of the Ronin. They're really good at combat. This seemed a little like,
I don't know, man. I think
like with the guy. I mean, I think with the lady, you're sneaking around, you're doing stealth kills. She's got a cool weapon.
Tell you what,
I'm on board, but like he was just kind of wailing away on meaty dudes with long health bars, and it just didn't seem all that.
I was actually pretty
Quality?
impressed by both. Here's the thing. I think if you want to talk about a game that's going to like keep things fresh, having two characters with two very different combat styles and eventually being able to pick which one you want to use in certain situations,
Why
I think
would
it's
you ever
it's really
choose-
cool.
I mean, is she just as capable like fighting dudes face to face, or is she like
Probably not,
bad?
no.
Because there was a part where she pulled out her Kurosagama or whatever and like fucking took out like 3 dudes at once. That seems pretty powerful.
I don't know.
I mean,
We'll
it
have
was
to
also
see.
probably a
Like,
very specific situation. Like, I don't know.
look, all I'm saying is this is a kind of a unique approach, because a lot of times in the past Assassin's Creed they've been like, here's 2 characters, but now pick one, and that's the one you're stuck with for the entire
Yeah.
game. This one is going to have 2 characters working together on the same journey towards a goal, so they're going to have interactions
Like Syndicate.
and like Syndicate. They're going to have different personalities, and you can choose when to use them. Yeah, Syndicate is definitely like,
But I'm gonna be playing
Implementing-
Stealth Lady because it reminds me of Tenchu.
it did remind me of Tenchu a lot.
Yeah.
Also, Rise of the Ronin's good. You should not put it down forever, stupid.
I just don't know if it's for me, man. Okay. Anyways, that's neither here
You
nor
don't
there.
play budget games. I get it.
What is there anything I missed? It's been
Nah.
okay.
I mean,
So-
other than
It's
the
11:15.
one
We'll
announcement
cover
they
it
had.
at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. I've been trying to keep this train moving. Okay.
No,
Let's
it's just
wrap
a
up.
lot of shit. A lot of
Chugga,
shit.
Keep
chugga,
your
chugga,
4-player
chugga.
minutes short, for the love of Christ. Okay, let's
I
start
don't even
now.
have one. I don't even have a 4-player.
You don't even have one? Do you want to do Fantasy Critic? Do I?
Here's my 4-player minute. Nick picked up Silent Hill for Fantasy
I
Critic.
did
Bravo.
pick up Silent Hill
Bravo,
too.
brave man. Ed tried to grab it.
He did. He
Um,
tried to snatch it from me.
I imagine it's going to be probably a big week for bids. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, we saw a lot of cool stuff with dates. I don't know.
A lot
But
less stuff with dates than I was expecting, though. So
well, yeah, I guess maybe. But some smaller games got dates. I mean, there's stuff. There's a lot of cool looking games coming this year.
yes,
I don't think anyone's going to have trouble filling up their roster at this point.
nope.
But I mean, I don't know. If you're feeling so confident about Dragon Age, Nick, pick it the fuck up.
I don't know if I am, but we'll see.
I don't know. I heard some game journos liked it, so and they
Look,
didn't.
dude,
like
I also said I
They're
never.
the ones that make the scores.
That's true. They make the scores, Nick.
But look, I also told
I
you
need to see more.
I haven't played Inquisition. Like, I don't even know who this Solus character is.
What?
He was in 2
He's
though,
a-
wasn't he? Wasn't he in
No,
2?
he's
was
on
in
2. He was in 3.
Inquisition.
Well, then I have
he's a
no fucking
companion
clue.
in 3.
I don't even know
he's
who
an
he is.
asshole elf who was.
That was like the.
Turns out was way more of an asshole than we
I
realized.
never left the
No,
hinterlands.
he wasn't an. He was. Was
an
I the only one that
asshole.
liked him during the campaign? Because
Yes.
he reminded me of Spock.
Yes.
But yes, you are the only one.
He was okay. He was kind of a dick, but he's also like a ancient elven god who's
I was hurt by his betrayal.
yeah.
All right.
Man, maybe I need to play the DLC for that.
I
Shit.
never played the deals.
I've heard good things
I
about
think
Trespasser.
should I try and squeeze Dragon Age Inquisition in before I play?
Nick,
Oh.
anything but Baldur's Gate. That would be so funny for you to play through all of Dragon Age Inquisition.
Do you imagine if
100%
Baldur's
the
Gate was
hinterlands.
Japanese?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Stinky.
Oh my god! Can you imagine how fast I would have put that down?
How fast you would have run away from it.
All right, moving right along. Crispy, 4-player minute, go.
I don't fucking know, dude. Let me talk about what I think about this Dragon Age thing, right?
About what?
Dragon Age. I do
Oh,
think
okay.
I do think calling it Kingdoms of Amalur is a little
Rude.
is a little uncharitable, but there is something about it. There's something about like you guys rebooted this not that long ago, did you? And like kind of started from the ground up. It there's like a softness and like a I mean it's not quite cartoony, but it really does look like that same kind of trick that Blizzard used to do where they're like, okay, well maybe if we stylize things a little bit, it'll hide that like it's not super sharp like in the polygons or whatever. Like it's weird. The player character in the gameplay trailer looks the worst. Like definitely is the most like noticeable, but they all kind of have this weird like
The thing
whole
is,
thing has this weird haziness to it that's like I'm just thinking like The Witcher 3, you know, that came out a long time ago, and
Many
this
years.
game has been gone for so long, and it's supposed to be the next Dragon Age game, and like these are the kind of things it's competing with.
I mean, look, it could have been an Anthem too. You know, let's.
I mean, I guess, but
At least it's a
Anthem
video
looked
game.
pretty. Anthem looked good.
And I know what Nick listened to. I think he listened to like the kind of funny impressions where they were pretty high on
I
it.
don't.
I actually haven't
think
listened
that-
to any impressions.
I don't
I've read a
really-
few. I've seen a lot of reactions on like social media and stuff. I haven't read a lot of.
People have been getting real weird about the cinematic trailer, and it's like, yeah, I don't think it's a great trailer, but I don't think it's
not.
that bad.
Yeah,
I just think the
blowing it
needle
out of
drop
proportion.
is a little like okay, like it's a little weird. It does kind of stink of that like oh you know everyone who's got like an ensemble cast now is looking at Guardians of the Galaxy is like their
People are out for
template,
blood.
you know.
Don't do
People are out for
it.
blood. People
Poor
don't.
poor
I think people
Concord
need to
Des
calm
are
down.
on
They don't want to
on the roof of some
see
building.
anything unless it's like blowing them away. And honestly, I think that's maybe a side effect of all this like keynote shit that we keep doing. Like, I think maybe people are getting a little brain broken with the idea that like if they don't see 30 minutes from a developer that just like changes their lives,
I mean, what the
that
fuck?
a game isn't worth being
to,
excited about.
you want me to just pretend I never played Disco Elysium, Crispy? Hey, my standards are high now. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying you should. I'm agreeing with you.
We all played Baldur's Gate 3.
We all played Baldur's Gate. We all played Disco Elysium. We all played The Witcher. We all played so many things that like this has to stand up next to, and it's kind of not. Or it doesn't look like it is. I mean, it looks like it's standing up.
I would
with,
hate to be Dragon Age in a post Baldur's Gate world. I would.
Well, yeah, and I feel like
That's fair.
I feel like this direction is very much an attempt to not be that. You know, is very much an attempt to be like, we are not Baldur's Gate. We're like fun action adventure RPG guys. Like we're Mass Effect with swords and magic. I do think that's kind of the direction. I don't know that that's a miscalculation. I get it. Like I get why you wouldn't want to be like compared to Baldur's Gate.
I want y'all to say right now, who do you think makes the better RPG? Obsidian with Avowed or BioWare with Dragon Age Veilguard?
I think
I'm not putting a dog in this fight.
I want the answer to be BioWare,
if you're
but I think
forcing me to
Obsidian's part
pick,
of it.
I'm gonna pick Obsidian.
Yeah, I think I would too.
I
Just
really
in terms
want
of
the
like track record.
Yeah,
I really want the answer to be BioWare, but I'm gonna have to say probably more likely.
I want the answer to be
BioWare
BioWare
too.
because I want to live in a world where we can be excited about a BioWare game again.
I mean, I don't think I'm not gonna play this game. Like, I think I'm gonna buy it. I just don't know. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna
like
play it for sure.
I really enjoyed putting like 40, 60 hours into Inquisition, but like as soon as I stopped playing Inquisition, I haven't thought about Dragon Age since. Like,
I read 5 Dragon Age
know,
books.
I know you did, and that's a little weird.
I
but,
heard
like,
there's another that came out after Inquisition. Maybe I'll track it down.
maybe.
Brad's laughing at whatever that weird name was Crispy said earlier, and he's like, I've read 5 Dragon Age books.
Dorobato.
I mean,
the
we can laugh at
ancient
them.
homeworld of the Cabal. I mean, come on, that's fucking serious shit. Yeah, Dragon Age is cool, but it definitely feels like I'm playing in somebody's homebrew D&D campaign. So it's like, oh, oh, the dragons are demons. Ooh. Like,
Okay.
you know
All
what
right.
I mean? I don't know. Whatever. I'm
This
excited.
dude was saying the same shit about Larian when they were making Divinity. Okay,
Dude, I
This
was
dude
because
is D&D
they're
pilled. If it's
I-
not D&D,
they're
it's fan
setting-
fiction. It's just crap.
I think I like Thetis more than I like what is Galarian? No, that's Pathfinder. What is theirs called? What's Larian's?
I don't fucking know.
So shut up.
Rivallon.
Rivallon. I think I like Thetis more than Rivallon. Whatever. I don't know.
All
It could be
right.
cool. Could be cool.
It could be cool. That's the moral of the story. It could
At this
be cool.
point, I'm really excited about Star Wars.
Hell yeah, brother. Let's do it. All right. Passing the baton to
last
Chris
thing on
Davis.
Dragon Age. Last thing on
God
Dragon
damn
Age.
it.
You know what they really needed though?
This is his
They
4-player
needed-
minute.
They needed a I didn't have a 4-player. They needed
You did though.
like-
You fucking did.
too much of the roster is new. Mass Effect got a lot of mileage on like,
Yeah.
hey, look, Garrus is back, you know.
Yeah,
I know-
remember
I
when
know
it was
there's some new
like getting the
characters.
band back together, and you had
That's what I'm
people
saying.
from both games, and you were like,
Morden's
"Oh,
back."
yeah."
We were always uncomfortable about these new guys, but at least we had like
This
Garrus,
is like
right?
Varg.
But like this game needed that. All they needed, and I know they have Varric, right? But I feel like they need like a couple of more returning characters for everyone to be like, okay, I'm cool. Cassandra,
What happened
she's
to the
awesome,
cool wizard guy from the last
know.
game? The gay wizard man What was
from
his name?
Inquisition. Oh yeah. God, What
I
was
don't
his
mean to
name?
break up this Dragon Age circle jerk over here. This is just long
Where's
4-player
Morgan?
minute.
Where's Morgan?
Yeah, where's Morrigan? She's hot.
You know, you tell me she's in the main party. I'm
And she
I'm
has a
there.
kid now, so she's like a total fucking
I'm there.
big fat MILF. Like, you kidding me?
Just don't bring back Anders, please God, never bring back Anders.
Nah, he's kind of a dork.
Chris Davis, save us.
Fuck you to Ubisoft. You know what you did. How fucking dare you? My sweat is the calendar of games I am hyped for the rest of the year. If anything, the past week has taught me that 2025 looks like it's going to be a good year. 2026 and beyond, probably going to be pretty good years. 2025, 2024, I'm not thrilled about. There's about 3 games that are absolute must-buys for me this year.
Oh, this scrub.
It's been pretty good.
You've been talking about cool 2024 games all podcast.
I can name like 20 games.
What are you
that I'm
talking
excited
about
for this year?
There's a Donkey Kong game and a Metroid game coming out this year. What are you talking about?
You know what I heard that new Monkey Ball game is legit.
Nintendo hasn't done their thing yet, so anything could happen.
Absolutely. We could certainly get a Silk Song announcement, and I still probably wouldn't care.
We didn't bring it up, but a lot of people expected Silk Song to be there. And, a couple of days before, Jason Schreier says, I heard some shit that makes me think it's not going to be there. The question is, what could he have heard to make him think it was not going to be there? It has to be like some sort of other confirmation of another place it's going to be, right? Because what else?
Maybe
it's canceled.
Or the really tragic other educated guess is that maybe they're porting the game off of Unity because of all that craziness that went down last year with Unity.
Oh, the royalty shit?
Yeah. Because Hollow Knight is a game that sold millions, and I could certainly see them not being cool with wanting to stay on Unity, which really would delay that game. Like no cap, no meme, like actual real delay.
I just figured that would have already started, and then we'd already be well into that process at this point.
Yeah, but
that Unity thing is recent. That Unity thing is less than a year old. Like that nonsense.
Is it only a year?
That takes time. No.
Definitely possible. Definitely possible. This would
put my fantasy critic in shambles, but hey.
This is the second 4-player minute that Brad has rehijacked.
Yeah.
Anything else you would like to say, Chris Davis?
Like I was saying earlier, the 3 games that are must plays for me this year are Indiana Jones, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Stalker. That's it.
Yep.
Like
one of those is
like big games to me. I don't.
The only other game that would make the list if it comes out this year is Metal Gear.
Wow,
that's it.
This motherfucker doesn't even care about that upcoming Nintendo Direct. He's not even going to play Astrobot. This piece of shit.
Oh yeah, what a piece of shit you are, Chris Davis.
He once told me he doesn't care if Michael Ironside is no longer the voice of Sam Fisher.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Can we move on?
He told me that.
Brad, I will fucking mute you. I will kick you off the fucking call. I swear to God.
That.
Splinter Cell Blacklist.
I said that.
Wait, was that Nick?
That was me.
That was Nick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry. I apologize. It was Nick. Shame on Nick. We're on the same side on this one.
Hey, don't give two shits if it's Michael Ironside or not. Anyways, can I do my 4-player minute now?
All right, now kick Nick off.
I didn't get to finish.
Oh, sorry. You're still. God, this is the. I did be quick, and y'all are just dragging this on.
I don't know. Brad keeps having like 14 different 4-player minutes. Give me my singular 60 seconds. The other thing I wanted to add is that there's a thing that's happening today that I don't know how legitimate it is, but if it is, it's interesting.
There's like 30 minutes left in the day.
Someone has created a tool similar to the Steam DB that is focused on the Epic Game Store. And people are finding listings for projects under publishers and developers. That's kind of interesting. We're seeing things like The Last of Us Part 2. We're seeing ports of games like The Saboteur.
Okay.
People are still discovering because there's a lot of code names. But the one that really... well, they're still working. They're still looking. It's only a couple hours old, this thing. The thing that grabs me is that there's a listing for Saber Interactive for a Turok game.
That's pretty cool, but Chris Davis...
What?
You're setting yourself up for disappointment, I guess.
I mean, I probably am. you know, there's still, this is a tool that people are still exploring, finding things out. But the fact that
I mean, we found out so much from the NVIDIA leaks, and it's
a lot of the NVIDIA leak has come true.
Most of it
just-
has.
A lot of it has not come true, though.
Yeah, it's
Anyways.
absolutely true. Yeah, but it's only been
You
a
know
couple
what?
years.
I would love for Turok to come back, as long as it doesn't come back and look like the 2007 Turok game. You know what I mean?
Well,
Just like make a.
I don't know. But either way, yeah, there's a lot of stuff people are
Saber
exploring.
Interactive also sucks, so.
They're okay.
Saber Interactive is making the critically acclaimed, or sure to be critically acclaimed, Warhammer Space Marine 2, which drops later this.
We'll see.
Which,
Yeah.
let's be real, it does look pretty fucking sweet.
Crispy
Okay.
is going to
We'll see.
reach through the monitor and choke the life out of you, Brad. I swear,
Crispy's
it's gonna happen one of
Crispy's
these days.
I think
Crispy's
Crispy's
chill.
like
Crispy's-
cool as a fucking cucumber over there,
Yeah,
man.
Crispy's ready for this podcast to be over. So can I go now? Is this my
Yes, you're good. Go.
Okay, I'll keep mine short and sweet. I hate myself, guys. I gave in. I knocked the difficulty of 9 souls down to easy today.
Oh, wow.
Oh, but
There's nothing wrong with
we're
that.
talking
What a-
so much shit.
No, 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 no.
last
What
week.
a
Listen,
bad
listen,
person
listen.
you are.
No, listen. It's not about I'm not ashamed to play an easy. It's just I spent 20 plus hours playing it on normal. So now I feel like I wish I had just played from easy from the beginning. Because now I feel like all the effort that I put in getting as far as I did on normal was maybe kind of wasted effort. But whatever, that's neither here nor there.
These motherfuckers.
What are you talking about? You got that. You
Look,
finished
look,
that
look.
much of the game.
You weren't here last week, Crispy. I was asking, like, hey, I don't want to get stuck on any bosses. Should I just play that
Brad,
on easy? And they're
someone-
like, you piece of shit. These
no,
bosses are a joke.
That's
You're a
not what I said.
pussy.
Not at all
They
what I said.
They said the P word.
Can
live on
I-
the
They
air.
said the
Can
P
I-
word.
Go ahead.
Can I amend what I said now that I've played more of the game since last week? Up until a point, there's a part I would highly recommend. I stand by what I said last week. Up until when I had played, I think normal was perfectly feasible and doable and not frustrating. But then I hit a boss this past weekend, and I would say I spent about 5+ hours trying to beat one boss. And then I did about 40 minutes of platforming exploration, and I hit another boss. And I played it for about 45 minutes, and I was like, I can already tell this is going to be another one. And I was like, I can't do this. I love this game. I want to see the end of this game. I do not want to give up on this game in frustration. So I said fuck it, and I knocked the difficulty down to easy. And that boss that I had already been playing for over an hour, first try, beat him. And I was like, God damn it. I can't even imagine how much time I would have saved on that last boss. So
There you go.
my official recommendation at this point is if you don't like if you don't want to hit a wall like that, maybe some people are really into that, right? Some people like really want to just push themselves to the limit on bosses. If that doesn't sound like you, play it on normal or on easy because the game is just too good to not play. Also, when you knock it down to easy mode or story mode as they call it, it gives you a whole bunch of sliders, so you can actually like customize your level of easy. Like you can say your damage multiplier is up anywhere from 0 to 100 or 200%, or you can do the damage that you take. And there's a slider for that one as well, so you can really kind of fine tune what level of difficulty you want at that point. The only thing you're sacrificing at that point is Chivos, and I don't give a shit about Chivos.
And
So it's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's I'll say this. I'm gonna probably blow through the end of 9 Souls, which is still great. And then I'm thinking about, because I don't think I have a lot that I'm planning on playing. Still Wakes the Deep. Is that what it's called? That's the.
Some Japanese games, I think, right?
But that's the only game I really have lined up in June and even most of July. So I think I'm probably gonna dive back into Baldur's Gate 3, you bitch.
Oh.
So
I think you'd be like, I don't know what's
I'll
going
believe it
on.
when
on
I
that.
see it. I'll believe it when I see it.
all right, let's wrap this fucking show up.
The hot one's name is Shadowheart, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
It's not Shadowheart.
I am.
Isn't the
putting
literal hot one Karlak though?
Yeah.
Let me-
Yeah.
Let me finish this fucking show, guys. Thank you for listening. I know it's been a long one. Crispy, thank you for bringing your love and your passion of Destiny. I'm so happy that I'm finally seeing that game. I am actually genuinely interested in playing that game and I'll keep you posted on how that's going.
Great. I actually do it because the new exotic class item quest is a 2-person quest, so I need help, please.
Oh, cool. Just farming for help. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. 4playernetwork.com is, of course, the website, but more importantly, you can find our community actively talking about video games on Discord at discord.gg/4player. We'd love to have you there. Stop by, make an account, say hello, introduce yourself in the introductions channel. Tell us what you're playing. We'd love to hear that stuff. And we'll be back next Tuesday night to record another episode, or maybe it'll be a game night. I don't fucking know. We do these things on Tuesday nights. We'll see you next week. In the meantime, be good to each other, play video games. Good night.
Bye.